so I don't want to be in y'all hair. So I'm gonna drop because I just wanted to tell him that, hey, you got to do it this way. All right.
Okay. Hey, Twitch, YouTube. Can you guys hear me over on Twitch and YouTube? I fixed that. Can you guys hear it? Hey, Gina. Hey, Gina. Hey. You can hear me now? Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. That was some technical difficulties. All right, guys. Keep tapping the screen. Keep sharing the live. We're here. I'm going to reset the daily gift goal. Let's keep knocking out the daily gift goal. Not only is that going to help push us out to the FYP, but that's going to help us with what we are doing here this evening. Guys, if you are interested in joining the panel, please go ahead and request up. Tonight, we continue our series as we talk about mass extinctions worldwide. We are looking at different events that are occurring around the world that where people are affected and what we can actually do to help those people. We have topics that we're covering, such as resistance/struggle is necessary, capitalism creates extinction, Black and brown bodies aren't equal, holy smoke, look at the goose, you are
Bruh, I didn't
complicit.
want to come up. I didn't want to come up. I was tapping the screen. You kept switching the screens.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll drop you down.
I'm coming down. I dropped this out. I got it.
All right, guys, keep tapping the screen. Share the live out. Let's keep the likes moving. Let's get the likes up to 50,000 likes. We're at 27,000 likes. Athena, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm okay. A bit stressed, but other than that, I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing well. It's been a long day. I went to bed at about almost 1 a.m. And then I woke up at 4 a.m. for a meeting, and then we went from there. But guess what? So we did something super awesome last night. Super awesome last night. So in donations last night, thank you so much for the goose. In donations last night, we raised $357. But in gifts, we raised $77.34. So for just last night, the first night of our donations, we were able to raise $434. So W's in the chat for everyone who showed up and showed out last night. Guys, what we are doing here is not only are we talking about G-sides, right? Not only are we talking about how they are affecting people all around the world, but we are talking about what we can do to actually help people in need. And so tonight, I need your engagement. I need you tapping the screen. I need you guys continuing to tap the screen. I need you guys continuing to share the live out. I need you guys to continue to send your daily heart me's. I need you knocking out the daily gift goal, because this is going to push us out to the FYP. This is going to get more people in here, and so they can join the conversation. And more than anything else, any and every donation that you send tonight and tomorrow night, it's all going to be donated to help support the people that are in need, that are affected by these different G-sides around the world. So if you have anything that you can actually pitch in and help, please consider donating. We have these links that are up above me. I know they're a little bit small. We're going to see if we can start running the links in the poll. So if you want to actually donate via one of the links, then you can actually go and donate directly. If you want to send a donation to me, Santana Speaks 24, Santana Speaks 24, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All the donations that you send, whether it be from last night, tonight, or tomorrow night, all of it will be donated, and myself and my wife will be matching everything that you guys donate over the 3 nights. So let's do something special. Let's help out as much as we can. If you are interested in joining the panel, please consider doing so. Just a reminder, everyone is welcome to the panel, but with joining the panel, it's about positive discourse. It's about positive conversation. So no matter what, even if you have an opposite opinion, you are welcome, but we will keep it respectful. That's what this is about. That's what Late Nights with Santana is about. With that being said, I'm going to start with Athena. Athena, where would you like to start this evening? I know we got into a couple of different topics, and we talked about how, you know, we were able to go to, I think last night we started with, where do we start? Capitalism, right? And then we talked about resistance. Where would you like to start this evening?
I guess black and brown bodies aren't equal.
Okay.
We can start with that one today. I think, which is basically at the core.
Hey guys, just a reminder, as you get up on the panel, make sure you mute yourself. Make sure you mute yourself, and then we will come to you and you'll be able to join the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Athena.
No problem. So I think like maybe black and brown bodies are not equal. I think that could be a topic we start with, because it is truly at the root of all of these topics that we even talk about, whether it is the fact that who gets to decide who gets unalived and who gets to live, who gets to decide who is the person who gets exploited, and who is the person who does the exploiting, or which is the country that does the exploiting. I think that is rooted as well in the idea that certain bodies aren't equal to others. And it just also ties into any other, all the other topics as well. When it comes to resistance, for example, certain bodies are allowed to resist and other bodies are not.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I guess certain bodies are heroes when they resist. I think, okay, have you ever heard of a person called Ahad Tamimi?
No, I have not.
Okay. So Ahad Tamimi is a Palestinian woman from the West Bank. And she has appeared in multiple photos and videos where she is, from the time she's a child, attacking ITF soldiers, basically, or Israeli soldiers, even as a kid, basically, right? And she and her father have also gotten detained multiple times. Today, she is 23 years old. The interesting thing is, though, that she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And when the Ukrainian war started, so when Russia first invaded Ukraine, her photo was being circulated, and it was labeled as if it were a Ukrainian child that were resisting Russian soldiers. And it was so fascinating to see all of these different people comment about how this was this powerful, strong Ukrainian little girl who was defending her land, and and then the moment that fact checkers fact checked those posts and said, actually, this is a Palestinian girl from the West Bank, the sentiments completely disappeared. And everybody started labeling her a T. They're like, oh, yeah, she's a T. Oh, yeah, well, she isn't a hero. And everybody kind of like removed their support for this girl, for this woman now. So I think that is because in the essence of like, our society decides to deem certain bodies valuable enough or grievable enough to be able to resist. And that's why we celebrate them. Whereas when other people resist, we label them as T's or violent or aggressive, or they shouldn't be resisting, or they should be more peaceful or pacifistic, and all those different things. So yeah, I think that is rooted in the idea that certain bodies aren't equal enough to resist.
Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. That is actually deep, something that I didn't realize was an actual thing. So thank you for actually speaking on that. Let's go to Alex. Alex, would you like to chime in on that point and share your thoughts around what Kobe just spoke on?
I completely agree with everything that she's saying. Unfortunately, that historically has always been the case. So when, for example, the Rwandan genocide was going on in 1994, Bill Clinton actually apologized for not intervening or doing anything about it, not bringing any attention to it. Yet when Bosnia concurrently was facing G-side at the hands of Slobodan Milosevic, the U.S. was very quick to react to drop depleted uranium boom booms, just to be TikTok safe, on Serbian targets to save the Bosnian people. Yet when it came to the Rwandans, the U.S. and the West in general was nowhere to be found. So when Black people are being rounded up and executed, raped and slaughtered by the thousands, the world just kind of sits back and doesn't do anything, doesn't care. No one lifts a finger to do anything about it. Yet in the case of, for example, Bosnia, there was a very swift and strong reaction. And similarly, too, if you look at the modern day, when it comes to the Ukrainians, you see people waving their flags, Slava Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. Nobody cares what's happening in Sudan. Nobody seems, at least when I say nobody, I'm of course referring to policymakers in the US. The vast majority of them couldn't care less about what's happening in Sudan, couldn't care less about what's happening in the Congo, couldn't care less about the violence in Haiti. And in fact, specific to the case of Haiti, the war on DURGS has caused unimaginable damage on Latin America, to include on Haiti. But
can wait,
have that conversation.
Alex, can you dig a little bit deeper in that for us?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the war on DURGS, right, whenever the government makes something, say a high profile commodity illegal, it doesn't stop it from being produced and distributed.
Right.
No, it just creates an underground market for it. So what ends up happening with DURGS and DRGS is that when you make them illegal, you're not stopping people from acquiring them or from selling them. What you're doing is pushing that market underground. So this is what fuels cartel violence. And Haiti is just one country of many that has been marred by this violence. Latin America, in general, has said, please just end the war on DURGS. Treat it like we do with drinks. Just trying to be TikTok safe. So the only call I've taken down.
Right.
So we had this issue with prohibition in the 1920s. This is how Al Capone and a bunch of mobsters made their money. Once the 21st Amendment was ratified, suddenly these people instantly sunk, because why would you do business with a violent criminal when you could just go to a dispensary, go to a bar, whatever it is, and get your fix? So throwing people in jail for being on substances is not an effective approach. So, and we've seen this now for decades. We have ample research on this. And similarly, it's been Black and brown people that have overwhelmingly disproportionately been impacted by this. So, and that's another just an empirical fact that really can't be disputed in good faith. So anyway, and Hades is one example of that. But going back to the case of Sudan, I really want to touch on that. The United States sells weapons to the United Arab Emirates, and the U.S. has what I call a guns for oil trade with the Emirates, in that because they have oil, the U.S. doesn't care about the human rights record. The U.S. will sell them aircraft and missiles. Those missiles, those aircraft, the vehicles that the Emirates acquire from American defense companies will then end up in Sudan, because the Emirates will sell to the Rapid Support Forces, which are actually carrying out G-side in Darfur and elsewhere throughout Sudan. So the U.S. doesn't seem to care about that as long as the U.S. is continuing to make money. So there was a very famous Marine Corps general, and Athena, I apologize for bringing him up in front of you for the billionth time, but Smedley Butler once wrote a book called War is a Racket about his time in the Philippines, China, and in a collection of occupations throughout Latin America known as the Banana Wars. And in it, he called himself a muscle man for big business, a racketeer, and a gangster for capitalism, and talks about how the weapons industry exists, how war creates demand for guns, for ammo, for tanks, and so on and so forth. Right. And that was true not just when he wrote about it almost 100 years ago. Right. That's still true today.
Absolutely.
And and I could go on. I just don't want to.
No, you're good. You're good. Let me say this, guys. Welcome in, NORAD's raid. Welcome in, guys. As you get in, please tap the screen. We're at 45,000 likes. We're so close to 50,000 likes, but let's blow past that, right? Keep tapping the screen. Let's get it up to 100,000 likes. Let's get the shares up to 200 shares, guys. This is Late Nights with Santana. I know it looks a little bit different. We're trying something a little bit different this evening just to see if we can actually get more people involved in this conversation. It's so important that we get people in. So I need you guys tapping the screen. I need you guys knocking out the daily gift goal. I need you guys sharing the live out, because this evening, just like last night, we are talking about mass extinctions worldwide. We're looking at different extinctions that are happening all around the globe. And we had Alex just giving us even more in-depth information about what's going on in Haiti. We're covering different topics right now. And so if you are interested in actually joining the panel and joining the conversation, please request up. With that being said, guys, also we are taking donations, and just an FYI, for any and every dollar, every dollar, every quarter, every dime, every nickel, every penny, every cent that you send, we will be donating that to help support these people that are in need, that are dealing with these different G-sides around the world. So everything that you donate, you can either donate. We have these, I know it's kind of small and you can't really see the links, but you can donate directly. We have those running in the polls, and we will continue to run those links in the polls. So if you want to donate directly, you can, or you can send a donation to me, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Santana Speaks 24, Santana Speaks 24. If you send a donation over, all of that will be donated. Also, at the end of the night, anything that you guys actually gift will be donated as well. And last but not least, my wife and I will be matching whatever you guys donate over this 3-day span. So if you have something, please donate. If you can send some gifts, please send gifts. If you can tap the screen, share the live, just do those things. Send your daily heart me, do all the wonderful things. With that being said, guys, W's in the chat for Jesse. Jesse sent a $1 donation that says, are you joining Red Note? No, I am absolutely not going to Red Note. Not even a little bit. W's in the chat for Jesse. W's in the chat for Sarah. Sarah sent a $1 donation to say, I only have $1 tonight, but I wanted to help. Sarah, you are amazing. Again, any and everything that you send is much appreciated. Thank you so much. Again, guys, if you have the ability to do so, please consider donating as well. Currently, we are talking about the topic listed as far as Black and brown bodies aren't equal. And so we're kind of running through that. I would love to bounce to Alicia. Alicia, I would love to hear your thoughts on where we are right now on when we start talking about how Black and brown bodies aren't equals when we look at the different G-sides all around the world. Alicia, are you there?
I didn't even know I was up here.
Oh, okay. Did you not mean to be up here?
No, I was
Okay.
tapping.
No worries. I'll drop you down. Thank you, my friend. Dan, would you like to jump in on the topic?
Sure. For those of you who don't know me, it's the first time on the panel. Not super familiar with your stuff, but I've seen a handful of things, and they've all been hilarious and pretty spot on. Okay. So I'm Dan, 34, from Atlanta, Georgia, and voted for Kamala because I am a democracy enthusiast, and I didn't see the need to blow up the economy just to stick it to a bunch of brown people, and also didn't want to normalize rape. As far as the topic goes, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious they're not equal. I don't see an argument to be made the other way at all, like even a possible.
Okay. Dan, is there another topic on the background that might have caught your attention as well that you might want to speak on?
I was more just trying to listen. Okay. Hear what your thoughts were on the topics. I can talk about any of them.
Can I ask Dan a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Athena.
Has there been, in the past year or 2 years, or just in general, has there been an instant in your life, like an incident in your life where you have thought, oh, dang, like, this world really shows us that we aren't equal? Like, back to the topic with regards to Black and brown bodies aren't equal. Has there been ever a moment where you have thought to yourself, wow, this is really palpable? It's very present that we aren't equal?
It's tough to say a specific one that's like changed an opinion as far as that goes for me over the last 2 years, just because I was never under the impression that especially the United States or the world broadly values Black and brown bodies the same way they value ours. But I mean, it's probably because just a lot of the stuff blends together. I don't know. Are you talking like in the United States?
Yeah, just in general, whether it is in the U.S. or whether it is like on a global scale. Has there ever been an incident or something that has happened in the world where you thought like, yeah, dang, this is actually real. Like, we aren't treated equally. Where it has to come clear to you, basically.
I mean, there's just a ton to pick from. We got what? Any number of the police brutality stuff, whether it's George Floyd, whether it's Michael Brown, whether it's literally any of the common reaction that people had with, say, Donald Trump. Like the idea that, so it's Charlottesville, right? Like when he's asked, why did you wait so long to denounce neo-Nazis? And the response for that is to hand wave it by saying, oh, he eventually said that they should be condemned. That's not the issue. The issue is that he took 2,233 words to eventually do that while dancing around the fucking topic. It doesn't take 15 minutes of speech time to finally state that YT nationalists should be condemned when that's why you're having that press conference. Like, it's comical that that is a hand-waved moment. And does anyone think that the J6 stuff wouldn't have gone drastically differently? Its skin color's been swapped.
Yeah, no, I definitely think, you know, the simple fact is the United States has shown us time and time again that, you know, Black and brown people aren't equal, and we can't do certain things that other people can do, as simple as just living life. But then when you talk about, you know, outside of the country as well, and I love the fact that Athena and Alex both brought up Haiti and what's happening in Haiti, and the difference in how the people are portrayed. It speaks to not only where we are as a country, but where we are globally. And it rings true to, you know, what Athena talked about last night. And for anyone who did not get a chance to hear the conversation, but something that she spoke on last night was just the actual, basically the tolerance level it is for people to view Black and brown bodies being harmed or being hurt over the sympathy that they show for people with quote unquote fairer or white skin. It's all connected, and it's something that's completely interwoven, not only the United States, but all around the world. And you see that through the different events that are happening. So.
I mean, yeah, 1,000% agree.
Absolutely.
None of this is new. Like, none of this is new. Like, Michael Che, I think, says it best. It says what? The Constitution is white man FUBU, for us, by us. Like, this is clearly how the system was intended. It's gotten a heck of a lot better. That's also not anywhere close to where it needs to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. Dan, let me ask you a question. As far as, and I know, you know, you've kind of spoken to where you are domestically, and which I understand that. I definitely get you know, where things are in the United States, and it's something that I said last night, and I'm trying to really harp on the fact that even here in the United States, where, you know, a lot of us are disappointed, right, with the election results. A lot of people are worried about what's happening, like what's going to happen in just a few days, 6 days now, when Donald Trump takes office, and how a lot of people's lives are going to be changed, and a lot of people's lives are going to be affected, right? But the thing that we really have to speak to is like the place of privilege that we actually have. The fact that even though we are in the United States and we are in a position of privilege, we're still one where there's a lot. I mean, we're still in a position of privilege, and we still need to actually see or go about doing what we can to help support those people outside of the country who are not in said place of privilege. And that's why the big thing that I want to focus on is making sure that we're thinking outside of ourselves and outside of the country. So Dan, I guess my question to you would be, if you, I know it's easy to say you know, Palestine, right? And I've been guilty of focusing on Palestine, but just yourself, are you aware, or have you, like before this conversation this evening, have you been aware of any of the other active genocide G-sides that are occurring all around the world?
To a degree.
Okay, tell me about it.
Yes or no answer would be yes, but I'd say the main thing would obviously be Palestine, but in terms of like where the broader awareness is, but I mean, there's a really good reason why Biden ended up bringing in the parole program. It's because there's obviously an asylum need from Haiti.
Yeah.
But in terms of like where I've been focused, it's a very, very smart woman told me this. It's saying that if a plane's crashing, you got to put on your own oxygen mask before you help others.
Yeah.
I would very much love to be in the position to be able to like really focus on all this stuff, but unfortunately, in the political and philanthropic world, we're spending all of our time and energy trying to convince half the country that the sky's blue.
So do you think
we have to fix stuff domestically before we can help out a ton internationally?
Okay,
but it is good to be aware of this stuff. But
that's interesting. So Dan, I guess the question I have kind of as a follow up then, do you think that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time?
With Republicans in power? No.
Okay. So serious question, because now you have me thinking. Over these next 4 years, it's going to be dangerous, right? I mean, we can agree on that. Over these next 4 years, the United States is going to go through a lot. It's going to be impacted a lot. There's going to be a lot to worry about. There's a lot to worry about at home. Are you of the mindset that we should focus on what's happening at home and not really focus on the people that are hurting worldwide?
It's tough to answer that question just because I don't know what we can do to convince Republicans to actually govern. If you had actual good faith politicians governing, of course, the United States is amazing. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. It's not that effing hard to be able to understand that investing in foreign aid, you don't even have to sacrifice like financial means or financial interests for morality. Turns out you can just do both.
Interesting.
Can I say something here?
Go right ahead, Athena. I was just about to open it up for anyone who wanted to add.
Yeah, okay. So I think I need, when it comes to the global south and when it comes to all the different G-sides that are happening, the exterminations that are happening, I need people to understand that it isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a Western issue in general. I need people to understand that Western imperialism is something that is reproduced by all Western political parties, regardless of which side of the political aisle they find themselves on, right? When we are looking at what is happening in Congo, in Haiti, in Sudan, in Palestine, in North Africa currently, with all the refugees being enslaved, these areas are actively getting destabilized by Western politicians, regardless of if they're leftist or liberal or Republican or conservative or alt-right or fascist. It's like we have to understand how very uniform Western imperialism is, in that it is the one thing that unites all political parties in the West. All political parties are complicit. It was the Democrats who are actively funding the genocide in Palestine. It was the Democrats, or Western politicians who are more liberal or leftist, whether it is Justin Trudeau, whether it is the Labour Party in the UK, who are actively complicit in G-sides all across the global south. And the moment that we recognize and finally acknowledge that our civil society within the West is literally rooted in the subjugation of the global South, that is only when we can move forward and try to fix it. But if people just sit down and say like, oh, well, I mean, it's that person's fault, it's not my fault, it's that person's fault, it's not my fault, it's that person's fault, it's not my fault, you'll never ever be able to fix it. And even back to what you said, things have gotten better in general within the West. Have they? When we look at the rise of the far right, I want also somebody to explain to me the difference between mining in the Congo today and us sitting within the West and using all of these resources that come from cobalt mines or any of the other mines in the Congo, and the sugar that British families used that were harvested by enslaved people in the West Indies. How is that different? How are those two different systems of exploitation? Again, so much time has passed between these two systems of exploitation, and yet so little has changed.
Can I answer that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just say this real quick, guys. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get it up to 100,000 likes. I know the likes are moving kind of slow. I know we're listening to the conversation, and we want you guys to listen and learn, but we also need you guys to be completely engaged so we can get as much push as possible. We need to actually get out to the FYP. I want people to be able to get in so we can actually expand these conversations, because not only are we teaching about mass exterminations around the world, different G sides, but we are taking up donations. So guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all of my pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, Santana Speaks 24. Not only do we not have a nightly goal, we're taking any and all donations, because any and all donations will go directly to help supporting people that are affected by these G-sides all around the world. So you can actually send donations to myself as far as my pay links. You can actually send donation directly to one of the links that are listed up here. Hopefully you can see it better, but we have that running in the poll. Or you can gift any and every gift that you send during this live. The money made from the gifts will be donated as well. So please, please, please consider donating. Please consider helping, and we will move forward from there. I'm sorry, how do you say your username? Can I call you Arc, or how do you say that?
Arcworks. It's just the letters
Arcworks?
R and Q.
Arcworks. Okay, Arcworks. You said you wanted to reply, or you wanted to answer the question.
But I saw the image change up top, so I don't want to cut in line above. I think you said his name was Alex.
Alex? Oh yeah. Well, go ahead, because you hadn't had an opportunity to speak yet, and then we'll come back to you after that, Alex. Okay.
Cool. I just don't want to. I'm trying to stay in the etiquette.
You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it was Covey. I didn't catch your. I'm forgetting your name.
Athena.
Athena. All right. You are wise. Yeah. So the difference is technology and distance, and an intentionally misinforming media environment where it's harder to ignore what was going on in the United States when it's happening in your neighborhood versus when it's on the other side of the world. We just got rid of it here and started doing it in other countries where it was a lot easier to hide. And so it's just out of sight, out of mind. And capitalism has capitalism requires the oppression of some people group. And so I think I don't know if that was a real question, but I think in an age of poor media, incredibly biased media, it's hard for people to know about things. And like, most people don't know the CIA's role. I don't even know if I can use those letters. Sorry if I'm not supposed to. That central group, their role in Haiti. People still don't know much about what's going on in Myanmar. Congo has been a wreck. Even since their G side there, what was it? King Leopold. Millions of people eradicated there. So I just think that most people are incredibly ill-informed, and there are not, even though we could have access to tons of information, most people just don't know anything. when it comes to international policies.
Yeah, and you know what? And so again, I will admit that I have been an ignorant American, right? And and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. And I shared the story about how again my wife made me a better person, and the reason why the idea to even do what I'm doing with this was sparked by her. But I realized how much that I didn't know, right? Even though, to your point, I've had this supercomputer in my hand for years. I've had access to the internet for years. I've had the ability to find, research, and learn for a long time. But it seems like I know I'm showing up to the party late, right? And I think there's a huge difference between actually acknowledging that and then trying to be better versus just blatantly saying that, oh, I don't really know if there's anything that I could do, or not wanting to learn. It doesn't affect me, because it's a whole thing. But I completely agree with you. I think there's a subsector of people who just don't want to know. But hopefully there are a lot of people that are listening and learning and saying, they're waking up. And I hate to say it like this, but there's a lot of people where what's happening in Palestine was a catalyst for them to actually grow. And I know that there's a lot happening outside of Palestine, and there was a lot happening before Palestine and everything. I just really hope that people, whatever way, whatever spark that it takes for them to get to where they need to be, that more people are willing to, get there and to do more, because we have an opportunity to do a lot of amazing things. Speaking of doing a lot of amazing things, chat, I need to see so many W's rolling through the chat for a back to back 3 straight donations of $50 each. W's in the chat for Alina. Alina sent a $50 donation saying Vegas in May. Absolutely. You know it, Alina. Thank you so much for the $50 donation, Alina. W's in the chat for Erica. What up, E? Erica sent a $50 donation saying from Bubba for the kids. What up, nephew? Thank you so much for that. And W's in the chat for Chase. Chase sent a $50 donation saying for the hat. Chase, love the hat. It's not all about you, and it's even more appropriate because of what we are talking about over these 3 nights with Late Nights with Santana. With that being said, guys, welcome in to the new people that are starting to get into the chat. Tap the screen. We're almost at 100,000 likes. Please, please, please. Let's not stop at 100,000 likes. Let's get up to 125,000 likes. Let's get the shares up to at least 350 shares. Tap the screen, share the live out, do all the wonderful things. Welcome in Parker Raid. Welcome in Tony Raid. Guys, this is Late Nights with Santana. We are having discussions. We're talking about mass extinctions all around the world. We are covering different G-sides that are happening all around the world. And not only are we talking about different G-sides all around the world, but we are walking the walk. What does that mean? Guys, each and every donation that you all send directly will be donated to help support the people in need that are affected by these different G-sides around the world. So if you can donate, please, please, please consider donating. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All of my pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24, Santana Speaks 24. Any funds that you guys donate will actually be donated to help support people in need. You can also donate directly. There's some links up here on the screen if you can see it, but we also have those links running in the polls. Also, anything that is made off of gifts will be donated as well. So you can always gift, and that will be donated as well. Last but not least, my wife and I will be matching whatever we raise over these 3 days, and we will be matching that as well. So guys, if you have the opportunity, if you can donate something, please, please, please donate. If you can donate, do so. If you can give. If not, please tap the screen, share the live. Let's get as many people in here as we can. If you are interested in coming up and actually joining the conversation, please request up, and we will keep going from there. With that being said, Alex, I know you had something you wanted to say. I also want to make sure that I get to Sheen and Sean. Hey, Sean, how are you?
can I say one thing and then I'm gonna drop, just real quick.
Hold on one second.
Sorry.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. All right, go ahead and say what you have to say, and yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I
No worries, you're good. I'm sorry.
No, just if you want to learn more, there's a book that came out recently called Asian Americans and Racial Capitalism by Jonathan Tran, and it's really fascinating. And then when I was an undergrad, we read a book called The Open Veins of Latin America, and that has a lot to do with the not only the veins of blood that were let, but the veins of gold that were stolen from the land. And it's a fascinating read on why Latin America is in the economic place that it's in. So I'll just drop. But if you're looking for more resources and more places to learn, those are two good books. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate
The
that.
first book you mentioned, sorry. You mentioned Open Veins of
The Open Veins of Latin America. And then the other one is Asian Americans and Racial Capitalism. I'm forgetting all of it. And no, I am not Jonathan Tran. He teaches at Baylor. He's a brilliant. He's actually a theologian. But he talks. He does a whole lot on like the ideal race, and then some of the intersectional racism that occurs within the United States. But racial capitalism is a fascinating idea. If you've also not, another person worth reading is Willie Jennings and Christian Identity and the Formation of Race. Willie Jennings traces how Christianity was very influential in even creating the idea of race, and that goes back to Portugal with the triangle trade. So Willie Jennings teaches at Yale. So I'm a nerd. I read books. Weirdo.
Books are awesome.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming up and joining the panel. Thank you for the conversation that you've added. You are much appreciated.
Hey, thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed night.
You as well. Alex, you had something you wanted to add.
If Sean wants to go first, that's all right. I can wait.
Either or.
You can go ahead.
Okay, and I was just going to say regarding the point about Democrat versus Republican, just about every single U.S. president that's ever been elected would be indicted under the Geneva Conventions if we lived in a fair world. I mean, we can play a game, name a president, and I'll name the war crimes they committed. I mean, it's I mean, kind of shocking when you realize that.
You know what, Alex? I'm so happy that you said that, because you know, I do a lot of politics, and I definitely understand politics, and I understand the very thin line that separates most politicians, and a lot of time there's no line at all. And as someone who is a bit of a history buff, and especially when it comes to United States history and things like that, that I've never heard a truer statement. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to say that with when it comes to you know, Democrat, Republican, again, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican in office, I mean, we can go down the line, name it, like I said, name it presidents, and I bet you off the top of my head I can list off at least some of the atrocities that they committed. And with that being the case, the issue, the core problem is capitalism, right? The desire to enhance wealth, to expand economically. That is what tends to drive foreign policy decisions. So the U.S. has selective outrage when it comes to atrocities around the world. The United States will facilitate some atrocities. They'll, for example, they'll defend Ukraine, Slav Ukraine, all this virtue signaling about Ukraine, but then do the exact opposite to the Palestinians. Or when it came to Yemen, the United States was selling weapons to the Emirates and to the Saudis as they bombarded and slaughtered approximately 375,000, maybe even 400,000, or even more than that, Yemeni Shias. And so then when China comes along, they negotiate a ceasefire between Iran and Saudi Arabia. But now the United States has, for the last 15 months, had amphibious warships bombing Yemen. So Yemen never catches a break, and they wonder why. Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to say something because I see people playing stupid games in the chat, and you know, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So I'm gonna take you up on your challenge. So let's start here. Can you name an atrocity that was committed by Barack Obama or under the Obama administration?
Sure. So Obama ordered Operation Timber Sycamore, where the CIA was arming and equipping Syrian rebels, many of which are members of ISIS. And ISIS was the time waging a genocidal campaign against Yazidis, and they actively started a civil war in Syria and were actively moving into Lebanon, my mother's home country, and were attempting to perform, well, I'm trying to be TikTok safe about this, FGM, if you know what that stands for, female, where it starts with a G, ends in an L, mutilation, and other such atrocities. They were, the UN, for example, had condemned them over this. And so that destabilized the Middle East. It caused a tremendous amount of violence, not just in the Middle East, actually, but it spread all the way around the world. It spread to the Philippines. It spread to parts of Latin America. It spread, you had, for example, like Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab in you know, like Nigeria and Somalia, respectively, and parts of Kenya. And it just created a massive mess. Obama bombed Libya and took out Gaddafi and completely destabilized the country, leaving the country to be overtaken again by ISIS, which the CIA under him had been quietly supporting. He ultimately bombed even more countries than Bush Jr. did. But I'll stop there. It's just for starters.
Yeah. Can I just add on? I just wanted to add on to what you said. Sorry, Alex. Iskender. I don't know if I would agree in saying that he started the civil war. I think it's very important to understand that the Arab Spring in Syria was homegrown. I mean, you had the first protesters protesting in Dar'a, and they were unalived by the Syrian regime. So it was homegrown. It might have been supported partially to destabilize Syria as well, even though Assad is a dictator by the US. That is true. But the Arab Spring still, I think it's unfair to say that it wasn't homegrown at all.
And to respond to that, and given that my own mother grew up under Assad's occupation in Lebanon, I'm not saying it's entirely wrong. I am absolutely vicious in my condemnation of Assad for my life, and in a way feel vindicated after it's been a month now since he's been overthrown. I wish that my grandmother could have seen it. So no, I'm not denying that Assad was a brutal psychopathic dictator, because it's exactly what he was. He was particularly vicious and brutal when going after, for example, Palestinians in Lebanon, which drew the ire of the Arab League to include Saddam Hussein. So I'm not denying any of that. However, with Assad, he did rule Syria with an iron fist. People were afraid to cross him. They were afraid to touch him. They were afraid to do anything to him. And it wasn't until Operation Timber Sycamore comes along where, yes, there was resentment and hatred of Assad. That's true. But suddenly the CIA starts to embed itself. They start supporting. Basically, they gave Syrian rebels the means to actually start some hell, to raise some hell, to fight, to, gave them the weapons, gave them the training, gave them the money to recruit people, and the ability to create explosive devices and so on and so forth. And suddenly you have an insurgency that's quietly being supported by Mossad, Saudi Arabia, the government of Jordan, and of course the CIA.
I don't deny that. I don't deny that. I think it was just the part of the Civil War part that I just didn't fully agree with. But I don't deny that there were other interventions. But yeah, the starting was something I didn't fully agree with, because it takes away from the fact that people did protest, and a part of it was homegrown, and it takes away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so the reason why I started with Barack Obama though is because now I want to play the second part of the play stupid games, win stupid prizes portion of this. So there's a few people who are touting Donald Trump in the chat and saying Donald Trump has never participated in any atrocities and things along those lines. And yeah, they were championing the fact that you were talking about Barack Obama, and that's why I started specifically with Barack Obama before I said, now tell me about Trump.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So yeah, because I'm sick and tired of this talking point about Trump. First off, Trump had absolutely no regard for the ethnic cleansing. It started under Obama, but it continued under Trump. He continued to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia. Didn't care that Jamal Khashoggi, for example, had been brutally unalived and slaughtered in Turkey. Erdogan was very complicit in that, but of course, no condemnation of Turkey because they're a precious NATO ally when they shouldn't be. They're a bunch of, I mean, at least Erdogan and his ilk are a bunch of Armenian G-side deniers. But anyway, apart from that, you've got, again, tens of thousands of Yemeni children being slaughtered, in large part thanks to weapons that were being funneled to Saudi Arabia and to the Emirates by the United States. And again, we're getting oil out of the Gulf, and in exchange, Saudi Arabia and the Emirates are getting missiles and aircraft to punish an Iranian proxy. Then on top of that, Trump moved the U.S. embassy in the Zionist entity to Jerusalem over the protests of the Palestinian people. Funneled all sorts of aircraft and missiles to the Israelis. The typical is about $3.8 billion a year, give or take. Then he recognized the Golan Heights, which is occupied by the Zionists, as part of Israel, when it's actually not. It was stolen in 1973 from the people of Syria. So let's see. On top of that, one of the first things he did upon taking office was he issued an executive order and allowed the Army Corps of Engineers to bulldoze the Standing Rock Sioux community to pillage them, to drive them off their land and steal their oil, in violation of the Treaty of Fort Laramie. So a continuation of Native American G-side. And then, of course, he opened Line 3 in Minnesota over the protests of the Chippewa Nation. So hence, we can continue. He ordered a series of drone strikes in Syria. Namely, he claimed he was going after ISIS, when many of his drone strikes carried out by the U.S. Air Force actually slaughtered civilians and probably fueled recruitment for ISIS. And he actually made the lives of critical skills operators on the ground harder when he did that, but he did it anyway because he wanted to make a political point.
Mm-hmm.
He did the same as well in Afghanistan and in Pakistan and in Somalia, and did it unapologetically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess there wasn't peace in the Middle East or all around the world under Trump.
There most definitely was not. There certainly wasn't in Yemen. There wasn't in Palestine. There wasn't in Syria. There wasn't in Iraq. So no, I firmly reject that notion. Okay. I mean, anybody who thinks that to be the case doesn't, either they don't know what the word peace means, or they're deliberately lying. It's absolutely one or the other.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate you running through that exercise with me. And, like I said, stupid games, stupid prizes. With that being said, guys, keep tapping the screen. We're at 102,000 likes. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 150,000 likes. Let's get the shares up to 550 shares. Guys, we are here for a wonderful reason. Not only are we here for education and to be able to learn more about the mass exterminations that are happening all around the world, the different G-sides, but we are here to actually walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So guys, any and every donation that you send tonight and tomorrow night, and as well as last night, everything will be donated to help support these people that are in need, that are affected by these different G-sides. So you can always hit any of these actual links that are listed up on the page, and you can actually donate directly. We also have those links running in the poll, or Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Santana Speaks 24 is my pay links. Any and everything that you send will be donated, and not only donated over the course of the 3 nights, anything that you guys donate will be matched by myself and my wife. And last but not least, you guys can definitely gift anything that you gift. The money that we make off of gifts will be donated as well. So if you can, please not only listen to this conversation, not only join the panel with this conversation, not only comment, but if you can, please consider donating. Please consider gifting. At the very least, tap the screen and share the live, because those things are free and they get more people in here. With that being said, Sean, I wanted to give you the floor. Now, Sean, just the FYI to kind of level set with you, we were kind of going all over the place, and we do have the topics on the back, which is resistance / struggle is necessary. Capitalism creates extinction. Black and brown bodies aren't equal, which is where we started. And then you are complicit. So, Sean, I will let you start in whatever direction you want to go and take it from there.
Yeah, no, you already know. I agree with everything on the background. I came into the live when Athena had asked what the difference between the two systems of oppression were, and I was like, that's a really good question. And I thought we'd go like down that line, but
Yeah, take
we
it. Go there. Go there.
No,
Wherever
it was
you wanna
just
take
it was just more so sorry, it's perfectly fine. We'll get there. We'll get there. The but going off the background, no, I agree with everything. You already know that I believe that resistance or struggle, I believe like full blown revolution is necessary.
I know, Sean. I know.
Capitalism, don't get me started. Black and brown bodies aren't equal. No, of course. Like the entire, like to the point where the entire notion of blackness is to be oppressed. Like that's what like the point of blackness and to come to terms with blackness means. That you're coming to terms with your oppression due to racial bounds. Yeah, absolutely. And I try every day to be as defiant as my government wants. I'm gonna leave it there so I don't just ramble on, but we'll get to something deeper a little later.
Absolutely.
I feel it.
Absolutely. Shin, you have been patiently waiting. I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak on anything that we've spoken about so far, or speak on any of the topics that piqued your interest.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Shin Sung, or you can call me Mike. I'm a staunch communist, and I see some fellow comrades in the chat there. So hey. So that answers like obviously the second point, but I wanted to kind of bring back what Athena was talking about in terms of how resistance from Black and brown individuals often gets labeled as theists. I don't know how to reference it. So I've been diving into a lot of Frantz Fanon. He was born in Martinique, which is a colony, a French colony that he was born into the early 1900s. He was a really smart person, and he saw what was happening during the time, which was France was G-siding Algeria, and he was like, I'm going to join Algeria and fight against the French, even though he was technically French. He joined the resistance in Algeria and fought against France during that time. France labels him a theist because he fought against the colonial France that was G-siding and ruthlessly, R-wording a lot of women during that time as well, burning their land as well. Yeah, he got labeled as a theist, and you can't find one single book of him. It's not often talked about in the history books, so it's wild to me that not a lot of people know about him. And he was a great, even though he was unalived pretty young, he was a focal point in fighting against France during the Algerian G-side.
If I may, I'm sorry, like my brain's been stun locked. I think communism is trash.
Oh, okay. Why do you
That's an interesting comment. Hold on.
I'm a staunch Democrat.
Hold on. Okay, Dan, we'll give you an opportunity to actually speak your position, but just FYI, it's all about respectful discourse. So go right ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to be. I very much prefer respectful discourse.
Absolutely.
Say that criticism of, say, policy or a politician is not a personal attack. if I say communism is garbage, I don't like if I think communism is deeply unproductive and destructive to the country I love, is there a non-offensive way for me to communicate that accurately without someone thinking that I'm attacking them personally?
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. Can you explain your position though, of why your thought process goes that way? Or I guess the better place, and I mean like you seem like a pretty intelligent guy, and I'm not gonna put this past you, but I figured that I'll throw out the baseline question as always. Can you tell me what is communism?
Speaking generally, I think it's more or less like ownership by the state of, say, means of production.
So,
okay.
So I think that that's always a good place to start, because it's a lot of, I talk to a lot of people, and you know, certain people, they use words, and I'll always say, hey, what does that mean to you? And then they actually kind of go off, and then that's always a good starting point. So with that being said, would one of the communists actually like to explain what communism is, and then we'll let Dan continue his point?
Yeah, the definition I use, and various communists use different definition, but how I define it is the doctrine for the liberation for the proletariat, where the workers own the means of production. So that's how I define it. I'm not sure how other people do, but that's how I define it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
That's saying exactly why I haven't bothered to look in detail.
Sean, go ahead.
Yes, and you're not wrong. The goal of communism being stateless, classless, moneyless, being those things are needed in order to liberate the proletariat. But any society that moves in the direction of liberating the proletariat, following the doctrine of the liberation of the proletariat.
So for me, I always like to look at things in simple terms, right? Because I'm a simple man. I like simple terms. I like simple words. With that being said, the definition, when you Google it, and you can actually Google it in simple terms, communism is a type of government as well as an economic system, a way of creating and sharing wealth. In a communist system, individuals do not own land, factories, or machinery. Instead, the government or the whole community owns these things. Everyone is supposed to share the wealth that they create. That's communism. So Dan, with at least now, you know, you told us what, you know, what you think it is. We've heard from the perspective of two people that are communists, and then I looked up the specific definition and read it out in plain terms. Would you like to continue with your thought process where you are? Did any of that actually shift anything that you're thinking, or do you still lean into your current thought process?
It hasn't changed my opinion on whether or not communism is good or bad. The reason why would be, I'm not aware of any country that has ever been successful long-term being communist. Well, Simone just read my mind there.
Yeah, someone did make that statement. The question that I have for you, then it goes back to the next question again. I tend to ask is, can you name a communist country?
Everything's on a spectrum with this, though. No country is
it is, and the only reason, honestly, I'm going to tell you the reason why I like to throw that question out is because there's a lot of governments that actually label themselves as communists, the Chinese Communist Party, or you know, things like that, and they're not actually communists. They're government systems, they're dictators masquerading as communists, and they actually throw that around as a term to hide who they really are. And so I like to ask that question to test.
I can't say that there's been any definitive evidence that 100% pure communism would be successful or not, because to my knowledge, we haven't tried it. But I thought, speaking generally, like we would probably be referring to, say, like the USSR or the CCP when we talk about, do we think communism is better than capitalism? I think unfettered capitalism is trash and it leads to horrible outcomes. I think capitalism with guardrails has led to the best, call it economic or industry model that we've seen so far. There's a shitload of improvement that's needed, obviously, but I haven't seen any compelling reason to think that communism would be a good idea.
Yeah, Sean.
I actually give pushback against the idea of like dictators or whatever. These things are just manufactured consent that we have for certain projects that are working towards building the productive forces and liberating the working class. Dan, why do you love America? Let me ask you that.
I don't really.
Oh, you said the country you love.
I don't have inherent love for my country. I love my community and the people around me.
You said that communism is inherently destructive to the country you love.
I think that if we went to become a communist country, I believe that would be much, much worse for our country.
Okay, what is wrong? Let me ask this then. Since you don't love America, what is wrong with destroying America?
Before I answer that question, may I ask, it seemed as if this was going into this like being a respectful thing. It seemed that like your tone had a lot of loaded things, kind of being like, it seems you hate America. If that
No, it seems you love America. You said you love America. I asked you, why do you love America? You said you don't love America. So I said, okay, but you said that communism would destroy the country you love.
Okay.
So like I'm asking you a question based off of what you said. But now since that we've established you don't love America, that's cool or whatever. What's the issue with destroying America? You said it would destroy like the country. What's the issue with that?
Maybe I misheard. I'll assume I did. Question of what's wrong with destroying America? I don't think that would be good for people.
That doesn't tell me anything. That just tells me you think it would be bad to destroy America. I'm asking you,
Yes.
why is it bad to destroy America?
Because the people most of the people I know and love live in America. Like,
It's just you saying the thing again. So
I don't think destroying the country I live in is going to lead to good things. That
means that you think that destroying America is bad. Listen,
Yes.
right now, hold on, because what I've asked you is, why do you think destroying America would be bad? Why would destroying America would be bad? And you keep telling me, well, because it'll be bad. Like, yeah, I know you think it'll be bad.
Because it will destroy the economy, because there will be a power vacuum, because I think the United States is probably better to lead the free world than China or Russia. I think it leads to better overall outcomes by not destroying the way of life that we enjoy today.
So you think that the imperial capital of the world would be better than the anti-imperialist forces of, like, say, China?
Yes, I don't think that China would be a better. Yes.
Okay, why?
I haven't seen any compelling evidence to think that communism is going to be a better model than capitalism with guardrails.
Have you looked at?
Everyone knows, like, I voted for Kamala Harris.
I don't care. Have you looked at?
Says,
like,
MAGA gets triggered by words. I'm on your guys' team.
No, you're not. But have you looked at the effects? Have you? No, politically, you're not. I don't fuck with Kamala Harris. Like, stop saying that. Stop virtue signaling. I don't care.
This is let me hop in for a second. Because I think that and this, Dan, this is why I kind of tried to say this at the beginning. And I mean, I know you were speaking to like politics and everything like that. And I know I normally do politics, and I know that I normally, I voted for Kamala Harris. I get exactly where you're going, but I specifically tried to make sure that we're staying away from politics, because this is not a political conversation. This is a conversation overall about different G-sides around the world. But with that being said, I understand that there are certain people on the panel who completely feel different than I do. Again, Sean, one of my best friends. Yeah, I called you my bestie, Sean. Whatever, deal with it. I love Sean so much, but Sean and I have a difference in opinion. as far as like politics, and I know where she stands, she knows where I stand, but you know, we get along. But with that being said, don't take offense that Sean is actually challenging your way of thinking. But I mean, like it's this, it is what it is. I mean, she's pushing back, and she's right to push back. And it's not about, oh, I voted for Kamala Harris, or oh, they think I'm MAGA. I mean, it's really your train of thought that people are getting a little bit confused by, and so I understand why that's happening. But just try to move along with the thought experiment. Just hang in there for a moment, and just see, you know, how this actual conversation develops.
Can I ask the opportunity to not be spoken to as if like I'm a rude inherent enemy? You have to know that this isn't how people talk like in real life.
I haven't even been talking to you like you're a rude like enemy.
Sean,
like I literally have. I've been chilling this whole.
Listen, just because things get a little bit again, and I've said this a million times. We will have respectful discourse, and I promise you, no matter who it is, if there is ever a point where there's not respectful discourse, I would more than happily jump in and say, hey, you know, that's not right, or blah blah blah. But I promise you, that's not what this is. Again, just take a whole step back and just walk through this thought process with Sean. I promise you, there's a point. There's a point.
Happy to. It's a nice break from the MAGA people I actually talk to.
Have you looked into the effects of the United States imperialism and capitalism across the world versus like China?
Can you explain this question a little bit more? Like, imperialism generally is bad for the people being imperialized, but I don't know what versus China means.
Yeah, what is the effect of like China on Africa versus the United States on Africa?
Are we talking present day or historically? Like, it's a really, really broad question.
Both.
So historically, I think the most impactful thing, definitely as far as the U.S. is concerned, would be transatlantic slave trade. Most relevant thing in today's, call it China versus U.S., I would say call it economic imperialism. It's my understanding they're essentially like either essentially quote unquote buying up countries or peddling influence, essentially. Economic imperialism would be my current understanding.
Is the U.S. doing that?
I mean, yes, like to a degree, yes. Everything's on a spectrum.
No, I'm asking you who you're saying is doing that.
I'm answering directly. They both are.
Okay. What are the effects of like the United States on Africa today versus the effects of like China and on Africa today?
I don't have a super educated opinion on it.
What are the effects of, let's say, the United States on Nigeria today?
I don't know.
What's the national language in Nigeria?
I don't know.
Okay. When was the first space program in Africa?
Like, this feels more of an interrogation rather than like.
Well, it's you said you haven't seen any evidence of like communism doing any good around the world versus the United States. Okay. So I'm testing your knowledge of what communism has done versus what like perceived today's communism has done versus capitalism today.
Okay.
Like no one. Well, never mind. Don't worry about it. I was going to say something, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Just
thinking everything's fine to go over. I don't understand it yet, but I hope I will.
But if you don't know these things, why are you saying that communism is trash and you don't see any evidence of anything? Why wouldn't you just say you haven't looked into it so you don't know?
Because I haven't understood yet why me knowing the language of Nigeria is relevant to is communism better or not than capitalism with guardrails.
It's English. The language in Nigeria is English because of United States and British forces imperializing Nigeria. National language.
States has imperialized Nigeria. Why does that mean?
Well, helped Britain imperialize Nigeria.
I'm saying I don't understand the connection yet.
You don't understand the connection of imperializing a place so that like the original language is lost? And the language that is spoken is the language that like you and I are speaking over here and that they speak in England?
I don't understand how this is relevant to is communism better for the United States?
Wait, you don't think that ethnic cleansing is a bad thing? You do know that like losing a language and like forcibly losing a language is a form of ethnic cleansing, right?
Do you think I'm going to say that ethnic cleansing is a good thing?
I would hope that you wouldn't. I asked you the
Obviously
question.
no. So this is where it starts to become less of a good faith conversation.
No, it's not. It's not less of a good faith conversation. I'm teaching you what ethnic cleansing is and how imperialism does ethnic cleansing.
Can I say I think the issue with this conversation that I have, because
is
again,
that he's fucking fragile.
Sean, this is still
Am I
late
wrong?
night.
Like I'm over here
Sean,
cool. I'm chilling.
Sean, this is still late night.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Let me chill.
This is not sparring. The issue that I have though is like you came off of mute while Shin was actually speaking, and you said something really bold and really loud with your entire chest, right? And that's why this entire thought process has been important to go down the road with, because I think a lot of times that we tend to speak from a place of ignorance, right? And not knowing something, and speaking on the things that we don't know, right? The reason why Athena is here with me all week guiding these topics is because I know what I don't know. I know that I have a level of ignorance, and I am leaning on her to actually help not only supplement my ignorance, but teach me and point me in the right direction, and teach everyone that's listening. I've done the same thing with Sean, right? Sean actually has helped guide me and teach me where I was ignorant on a panel as well. But with that being said, you spoke from a position of things that you even admitted when I said, so what's the definition of communism? You said, you've never looked it up, right? And so that's
good.
I'm sorry?
No one's ever given me any compelling evidence whatsoever as to why communism is good.
Well,
so I haven't looked.
It's not about getting
health benefits of eating poop every morning.
Well, it's not about the benefits of eating poop, Dan. It's if I have Dan, if I have an emphatic view of something, then I'm going to know more about that something. I'm not just going to say, this thing is bad and I hate this thing without really understanding. I'll give you this example, right? And people get bothered that I compare Donald Trump to Hitler, right? And I don't just compare Donald Trump to Hitler because it's a cool thing to do, or I think it's funny, or I'm a troll or anything like that. I do it because, again, I'm a bit of a history buff. And I took 4 years of German, and so I've studied Germany a lot, but I've also studied Hitler and the Holocaust and just things around that area. And I've learned the correlations between what happened in Germany and what happened with Hitler and what's happening in America and what's happening with Trump. And so when I say I hate Donald Trump, it's because I've actually put in the work and studied to say I hate this. And so that's the only issue is, like, if you're going to make such an emphatic statement, if you're going to, say something with your whole chest, I'm not a communist. I'm not. Sean and I don't align in that stance, but I would never say I hate communism because I understand communism. So like that, I think that's the big issue with all of this, as far as how you said what you said without actually having the information to actually back it up. That's the problem.
Can I say one thing as well? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Athena. You got it.
I think so. So Dan, I think one of the issues that I have here is that the rhetoric that you have been kind of using has actively downplayed the effects or impacts of American imperialism and capitalism on the African continent as well, and in the global South. You mentioned the transatlantic slave trade, right? One example of how American imperialism also impacted the African continent is, for example, the longest or one of the longest running civil wars in Africa was in the Horn of Africa, specifically in Eritrea. And the reason as to why Eritrea, which my ancestors are from, by the way, had to engage in a violent armed struggle for 30 years is because after World War II, America decided to facilitate a federation between Ethiopia and Eritrea in 1952, which effectively denied Eritreans their right to self-determination, which then allowed and made it possible for Ethiopia to colonize Eritrea. And that led to the independence war that caused, I think only through famine, about 1 million people died. Only through famine, and hundreds of thousands of Eritreans sacrificed themselves in order to liberate their country because America decided to intervene in Eritrea. And the only reason they decided to intervene was because, one, they wanted to secure their economic interests through the Red Sea. Because if you control the Red Sea and if you control the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, you can control the Suez Canal. So money, profit over human life, right? And profit over I don't know how you think this feels like a debate now, where I'm just having a normal conversation, Dan.
A normal conversation isn't 7 people and then one person not talking for minutes at a time. That's not what a conversation is.
Oh
It is
my-
a debate
Oh
style.
my god, dude!
Hold
Can
on,
we-
hold on,
Santana.
hold on.
I
Dan,
can.
Dan,
At this point, it's just racism. You know that, right?
I came up to ask if
Like,
this
I'm
was
not
a
joking.
conversation or not.
Dan,
Like, I'm not joking.
Dan, seriously, like, I mean, I would love for you to actually stay and participate. But if you feel attacked, or if you feel like this is too much for you, or if you feel like you can't,
Not that.
deal with this actual information, or if you feel like this is a quote unquote debate, I promise you, one, this is not a debate, because if it was a debate, I would be playing like all my sounds and I would be making fun of people, and like, we're not doing any of that. I promise you, this is not a debate.
It doesn't feel like this is a conversation.
Well, see, it doesn't. You know what?
I'm trying
Dad,
to
can I
understand-
ask you a question? Who is
Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Everybody, just hold on 1 second.
Apologize.
Dan, no, you're good, Sean. You're good. Dan, if I can give you any advice, and this is just me giving you advice, whenever you walk into a space and you feel like you are quote unquote amongst allies, right? Because that's what you thought at the beginning of this conversation. And then you hear something that makes you feel quote unquote uncomfortable or attacked because you start to internalize it.
I got to interrupt on that part.
Then,
I don't feel attacked.
no.
I feel misled. That's why I asked
Again,
directly into the conversation.
again, you feel uncomfortable or you feel attacked because you start to internalize it. My only advice to you would be is to sit in that uncomfortability and unpack it, because if there's something, I love the saying, if it doesn't fly, let it apply. But there's multiple things that's hit so far. Again, Sean and I don't agree on communism. But what Sean said about communism, what Shin said about communism, like none of those things made me feel uncomfortable. So like maybe you want to actually take a step back and reflect of why this conversation specifically is making you feel so uncomfortable when you can't actually verbalize what the negativity is on the actual position that the opposite people are taking, especially when you're saying that you're not fully educated on the topic. If you were fully educated on the topic and you were 10 toes down saying all this with your whole chest, I would say cool. But you're not, and you're unwilling to receive any information because you're having a response where you're just like, this is like they're attacking me. No one's attacking you. Even I promise you, I know this might be your first time meeting Sean. Sean and I have done many lives together. And if Sean was attacking you, you would know it. I promise you. So I don't know. I mean, but again, I would love for you to stay and continue in this conversation. But if you don't feel like you can continue to engage in it, then thank you for coming. And I appreciate you spending time on the panel.
Well, I would love to learn something if there's something to learn. The issue
I mean,
is,
in order to learn, though, you have to be open and receptive.
Wait,
I can engage from the audience.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Can I just say,
Yeah, go ahead, Athena.
Dan, okay, that is incredibly disrespectful. I was talking to you about the death of my people, and you interrupted me, and then now you're saying that you would have stayed if there was something to learn.
Yes,
You
because
realize
there's
that
no
when
how
you're
to learn
talking
it
about
without asking questions. What do you do in a like, if there's-
who is capitalism good for, Dan?
Obviously white people. Yes.
Okay, cool. So why do you think liberation movements largely were communist or socialist?
I'm sorry, I legitimately didn't get the second half of that one.
I said, why do you think liberation movements within the global south largely were communist or socialist and not capitalist?
I don't know.
Because capitalism was seen as an extension of colonialism, because that's what it is. Because colonial powers actively used capitalist structures to continue exploiting the global south.
For sure.
So liberation movements within the global south never sat down and thought, listen, capitalism is great. We love what's happening to us. And that's what I tried to explain to you, Dan, right? That when you were talking about American imperialism and capitalism being amazing things, or they're great, or they're better than communism, for who?
Good. I don't
Who
think
are they better for?
I'm against imperialism.
No. You talked about capitalism as well. If capitalism was good for everyone, why were liberation movements largely communist or socialist?
I don't understand the question. But it's you said that
If capitalism is the best economic system and it's good for everyone, why were liberation movements in the global?
I think it's better. I don't think it's good for everyone.
Okay, so if it's better, why were a majority of liberation movements communist or socialist?
I have no idea.
Because it's not better. That's why.
Based on what?
Athena, can I just want to ask him something. It's going to be really, really fast, I promise.
I don't know why communism is
Dan, what's the national language of Nigeria?
It is English, I believe. That was
okay, so you did. So, okay, excellent. So in the course of this conversation, you did actually learn something, and you're just not listening to the rest of it because you feel fragile.
No, I can't.
That's it. That's all.
No,
like you said you would stay if you learned something. You did actually learn something.
Yes, I don't think that Nigeria having the national language of English is any evidence that communism is better as an economic system.
What countries in Africa have the national language of Mandarin?
Like,
hold on, stop. What countries in Africa have the national language of Mandarin?
As far as I know, I believe China's the only one that I know of. I know there's Cantonese and Mandarin there.
I said in Africa.
Oh, I would guess no. Or
so now that we've established the like when I had asked you before, like one about like that part of ethnic cleansing of like destroying a language and forcing them to like learn whatever colonized language that you instill upon the people. Like, and you see that like imperialism has done that through like capitalism and colonial means. Whereas
I'm happy to openly say imperialism and ethnic cleansing, I'm fully against.
Yeah. You're good. I just wanted to ask him that.
Yeah. Okay, well let's do this because Athena was actually in the middle of a really great point. And so, Dan, I want you to just breathe for a second. Athena, I'm going to read this off real quick just to give everybody a second. Dan, I want you to breathe. And then I want to go back to Athena because she was giving some great information, not only to you, but to everyone that's in the chat, because I want people to hear this. So guys, let's keep doing all the wonderful things, right? The likes are moving really slow. Keep tapping the screen. Let's get the likes up to 150,000 likes. Let's get the shares up to 600 shares. The reason why we're here tonight, guys, is around not only education, but it's around us doing, right? We're here talking about different mass exterminations all around the world, and we're talking about specifically different G-sides. We have multiple topics, and Athena is actually helping me guide these topics. But we're not here just to talk. Chat, we're not just here to talk. We're here to do. So the way that we are doing is, one, by making sure, if you guys want to make a donation, there's multiple links that are here. I don't know if you can see it there. Links there where you can actually go make a direct donation if you would like, or you can actually send a donation to me, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All of my pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24. You can actually send over a donation, and any and everything that you donate over these 3 nights will be directly donated to help support the people that are affected by these different G-sides all around the world. So if you can, please, please, please consider donating. And with that being said, anything that you all raise over these next 3 nights, my wife and I will match to actually donate as well. So please, please, please consider donating. Anything is accepted. Everything is appreciated. And also, with that being said, let's knock out this daily gift goal. The reason why I keep resetting the daily gift goals and talking about the gifts is also anything that you guys donate with gifts, we're going to donate that as well. So guys, whether it be you actually donating at one of those links, whether you actually send a donation to one of my pay links, if you send an actual gift, or even if you're just tapping the screen and sharing the live to get more people in here, I need everyone to be active participants, because what we are doing is super, super important. And with that being said, I need to see some W's in the chat. 2 W's, right? W's in the chat for Justin. Justin sent a $5 donation. And Justin, I'm going to hold off on your comment just because I feel like, we don't want to make the comment right now just because I feel like the comment might actually take us in a whole different direction. But thank you so much for that donation, Justin. And also, let me get back here because we just got a massive W's in the chat for Candy. Candy sent $100 donation. Please, please, please keep all the W's going for Candy. Candy sent $100 donation saying, "Stop the G-side campaign. I do not trust easily, and you have certainly earned my trust. Would love to follow up on the amount earned and the impact." Candy, make sure you're following me. Make sure you're following Athena. We will not only, so I started the live with sharing the fact that last night we made $357 in donations, and we also got $77.34 in gifts. So the first night we made a total of $434. I will continue every night to continue to tell how much we are raising, and then we will specifically let everyone know where all the funds are going. So absolutely make sure you're following us, and I will let you guys know. We will make sure that there's transparency, and your funds that you donate are going to great use. So again, if you guys are able to actually donate anything, please, please, please consider donating. With that being said, Athena, I want to give the floor back to you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. So Dan, I wanted to ask
Thank you for the universe.
If capitalism is better, why did liberation movements in the global south largely align more with communist or socialist beliefs?
I don't know.
So don't you think that them not aligning with capitalism just makes it not better? Not much better of an economic system?
I would want evidence that is compelling to show that communism is a better system.
So do you think that they just align with communism for what reason, if it wasn't the better system for them?
Could be any number of reasons.
What are
Looking
the
for correlation
reasons?
versus causation? I don't know I haven't seen any. I'm asking for it then.
So when you're saying capitalism is better, for who is capitalism better?
There's a few different ways to go with that question. I'd say country versus country. I'd say it's better for the overall country's economic output and country's quote unquote health than a communist country. I think capitalism is much, much, much better for straight white men than it is for people of color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when, for example, American corporations extract vast resources from African nations without actively reinvesting in local economies, do you think that system is better for African countries?
No.
Okay. So when, let's say, for example, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, when American-backed multinational corporations continue benefiting from mining coltan or cobalt, is that better for the Democratic Republic of Congo?
No.
Welcome in, Jessica Ray.
Cool. So when the international, like the IMF and the World Bank, heavily influenced by neoliberal economic policies, continue to prioritize debt repayment in African countries over public welfare, which continues contributing to poverty, to weakening healthcare systems, and food insecurity in African countries. Who is that benefiting? Who is it benefiting? Dan.
The country that isn't being subjugated. I'm against imperialism.
Okay, no. What I'm trying to tell you is that what I'm trying to tell you, what you're not understanding, is capitalism is an extension of imperialism. That's what I'm trying to help you understand, right? Capitalism is an extension of not only imperialism, but colonialism actively. Colonial powers have actively used capitalist structures to continue exploiting resources and labor within colonized countries. That is precisely why liberation movements within the global South largely were communist or socialist, because they realized that, number one, it was socialism and communism that united the people across all classes to liberate themselves from oppression, and not this hyper individualism that is pushed by capitalism. And second of all, they also realize that they continue to face severe economic inequality as a direct result of capitalism. The West continued to use capitalism to colonize countries in the global South. So when you're saying capitalism is better, it's not better for everyone. It's better specifically for countries within the imperial core. Dan?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are pro-capitalism, you are then inherently being pro-imperialism as well.
I would disagree.
How?
Because I think you can have a capitalist economic structure while also not just going in and raiding other countries. Like, these things are possible.
How can capitalism exist without the exploitation of a certain group of people?
exactly this.
With guardrails, responsible guardrails.
That doesn't make any sense. You're not telling us how they get products
so say for instance, if you have, call it a raised minimum wage, unions.
A raised minimum wage does not talk about how you get product into your country.
I'm talking about how you get your phone in your hand.
Exactly.
How Apple decides to use resources from Congo to get your phone in your hand, or your iPad, or your Mac, for example.
I'm aware.
How do these resources get into your home? Are you going to raise the minimum wage in Congo?
No. What I would do is I would sanction those countries or refuse to do business with them. It's not safe.
Does Apple do that?
You're the one.
No.
What?
Wait.
That would be called a guardrail. Capitalism with guardrails.
You're not.
Okay, wait, I'm asking you again.
100% capitalism is awful.
He's not.
Do you think?
Let's.
Do you? You're not getting it. Do you think billionaires can?
Talk real quick. Maybe you'll understand this because again, simple man, simple understanding. Someone in the chat just said you can't put guardrails on capitalism. You keep saying that, but I don't think you understand that you can't put guardrails on capitalism. That's not a thing. Capitalism will continue to breed more greed. That's not a thing. Hey, thank you for the rain cloud.
Also, can I just say it is fundamentally impossible to have a capitalistic structure without exploitation. There can't be, like, the fact that billionaires and multimillionaires exist, they can't exist without groups of people being exploited. Apple cannot maximize its profits without people on the African continent being exploited. That is fundamentally impossible, which is precisely why liberation movements largely decided to stray away from capitalism. Like again, capitalism is inherently exploitative. You can't separate the two.
Which is why you need guardrails for it to be productive, because it is inherently exploitative.
How are you gonna?
Capitalism.
Hey, wait. Okay, again, let's be practical. What guardrails are there on Elon Musk?
None, it seems, functionally. Things are going off the rails. We're going into a really, 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 really bad place because Republicans win elections.
Elon Musk was a billionaire under Democrats. Elon Musk was a billionaire under Republicans. Elon Musk is a billionaire because of capitalism, not because of a political party.
He made $150 billion over the course of 30 days because
I understand. Again, in my spare time, I debate politics. I know the fact that he doubled his wealth under Donald Trump. I know how much he's made since since Donald Trump has been president-elect. I also know that most of his businesses were actually subsidized through government loans with SpaceX and also Tesla. And that was under Democratic and Republicans. I'm telling you, it's not about a political party. You can't sit here and say that, oh, it's because the Republicans are in charge, and that's why Elon Musk has continued to amass a ton of money. Elon Musk has made a lot of money. Mark Zuckerberg has made a lot of money. Jeff Bezos, like all of them.
Can I ask, like, is it fair to say that two things can be bad without them being the same level of bad? Like, they're related, but they're not exactly like the same in kind. Like, say, I could say I cut off a fingernail and I amputated a leg. One person could say Dan cut off 2 pieces of his body. I think Republicans are demonstrably much, 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 much worse for the world, the country, and for all of the people who live there. I think they're going to lead to a lot more harm than it would have if Kamala Harris had won. Like, that's why I'm on, like, politics debates.
I don't understand. I don't think you understand that all Western politicians cause harm to the global South.
This wasn't about Republicans and Democrats. This was about capitalism being the driving force for both of them.
Yep.
The question that you were asked earlier, because this is an important question, I want you to answer it. Kelly came up with this question, amazing question. How does a capitalist society get products
within its society without exploiting other places?
Because I think you can have things in place.
How?
Like, say, maybe punish companies. I'm happy to answer, but
Let me
probably by having penalties
let me ask you a question that I ask Trump supporters all the time, right? They talk about the fact that like they love Elon, right? They love Doge because they're going to cut government spending and it's going to put more money back in their pockets. How, Dan, do you think that Elon Musk, who, to your point, doubled his wealth under Donald Trump for the first time, added about $160 billion since Donald Trump has been president-elect, do you think that he and the other 18 billionaires that are part of the Trump administration are going to actually do things to take money away from the wealthy to give it to the people that aren't making money, the lower class? Do you think that
obviously
that's going
not.
to happen?
No. No, they're going
So
to
if you
continue
can,
to rob and grape and exploit the people who are weaker than them. I think that's
Okay.
awful.
And that's capitalism. Sean, am I wrong?
Can I
Definitely.
ask how does cobalt get into the hands into corporations real quick? Because this cobalt, what people don't understand is that regardless if it's a Democrat or a Republican, we fund a current G-side in DR Congo. The US continuously supports a rebel group, the M23, indirectly by giving money to Uganda and Rwanda, and they actively take those resources by taking those towns that have those resources and ship them into Rwanda, and then they give them to those corporations that absolutely need them so they can make a profit out of. So yeah, absolutely. Raising the minimum wage does nothing. Democrat, Republican, we've been doing this for years. And no matter if it's, I mean, Obama allowed this to happen with our taxpayer money. We continuously send taxpayer money to these groups of people. And that, I think, needs to be understood because obviously CNN is not talking about it, MSNBC. It's not talking about, which is where a lot of people go to. You have to really dig for it to find these sources, because obviously the American government does not want you to know about that, because they know that if people look into it, that the US government is directly inflicting upon the people of DR Congo, the beautiful country of DR Congo.
Can I just say to kind of like emphasize the urgency of the situation? Since 1998, it's called a genocide, by the way. It's not, they don't even call it like a genocide when it comes to Congo. It's called a genocide because it's the genocide is actively being caused and funded by these resource extraction, right? By capitalism. Since 1998 up until today, more than 10 million people have been unalived. More than 10 million people. That is the population of Sweden. Imagine if Sweden had disappeared in the past couple of decades, right? So back to the question though, can Dan answer Sean's question? I'd really like
Dan,
to answer Sean's question.
Absolutely.
I mean, well, yeah.
Can I be
It was a
reminded?
question that I initially asked.
Yeah.
How does a capitalist nation get goods within it without exploiting other places?
I didn't hear the end of the question.
How does a capitalist nation get goods within it without exploiting other places?
Today, it seems that it doesn't 100%.
But when
Oh,
we
wait,
put those
you possibly do
guardrails
it.
in,
No. I'm asking you with the guardrails. I'm just saying.
Like literally? Okay. I mean, international trade, logistics. I worked in logistics and
International trade.
transportation for the better part of a decade. I understand how we move products to place.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you, how is it supposed to happen? Like you're saying, you put
According to
guardrails
who?
on capitalism.
How is
How
it
is
supposed to happen according to who? To the existing governments? How should it happen morally? How should it happen
according to you?
So this is Dan's world. How would it work? Or what is my understanding of what the current world is?
How would it work in your world? Let's do that first.
with the guardrails. Don't forget the guardrails.
Right.
Yes.
Like
Capitalism with guardrails. Probably have really, really, really heavy penalties criminally and financially for countries that source goods from.
I don't care about that. How do you get them into your country without exploiting?
I can. You asked me directly what my perfect world was. I got about 2 sentences in, and then you interrupted and said that you don't care.
You're just saying that
Stay
we'll
on
have
mute if you want me
guardrails.
to,
Like,
or I can explain.
you're saying, listen, we talked about the guardrails, and what you're doing is saying, yeah, we'll have guardrails, and these will be the guardrails. Cool. I want to know how you plan to get imports without exploitation.
So once again, I would do it with the guardrail of having criminal and civil penalties against people who would. I would incentivize people to not be shitty.
Okay, then how do you get goods in your country under capitalism? It goes back to the first question.
Because capitalism and corporations, right? They're there to, they don't care about morals. They care only about creating profits. I would want to make it more profitable.
I'm not asking. I'm asking in your ideal world with the guardrails, how do you get things into your country without
international trade?
What international trade means nothing.
You would have oversight committees and whistleblower groups who go into the places where say, hey, here are all the nickel and cobalt mines, right? You'd probably make it allowed so that, say, Clorox can, if they're a United States company, make it so that they are only allowed to operate in the United States if they source from countries that are verified.
How do you get goods into your country?
Sean, can I ask you, do these committees already exist?
They do.
They do. Are they implemented? Do they help?
I mean, technically, they're implemented.
But do they help?
Nah, there's still slavery in the Congo.
Great.
Like, listen, what I'm asking you, Dan, is that you said capitalism with guardrails is good. I can tell you how international trade will work under a full-blown socialist society, like the last stage of socialism, communist society. I can tell you how to get imported goods without
I have
exploitation.
not answered your question whatsoever because you haven't given me an opportunity to. So I'm going to assume that you don't want to know about my utopia capitalism guardrails, and I will just listen.
Okay, wait.
You haven't.
Wait,
You haven't
okay,
said
hold on.
anything.
Okay,
You
wait.
gave a big pause.
Okay. Hold on. Let's do this because I want to read this off. Dan, collect your thoughts, and then we will give you. No one will interrupt, and we would like for you to explain the utopia. Okay. Guys, keep doing the wonderful things. Keep tapping the screen. Keep sharing the live. Keep doing all the amazing things, and I need more W's, more W's for Candy, who sent another $100 donation, another $100 donation, saying, now that I know that you got the donation, I follow you as I got it. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your advocacy of women and our rights. Thank you for your advocacy of everyone who is marginalized. Your voice, our voice makes a difference. Candy, you are absolutely right. We have to actually use our voices. And this is what I've said, like, we have to understand that when we are in a position of privilege, we have to use that privilege to help other people. I have a position of privilege being able to sit in front of hundreds to sometimes thousands of people to actually let them hear my voice. And I have to actually use it for something good. You are using your voice by donating to these calls. Thank you so much for that donation, guys. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All of my pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support. And what happens with any and every cent that you donate between last night, tonight, and tomorrow will all be donated to help support people that are being affected by these G-sides all around the world. So if you have it, please, please, please consider donating. Anything is accepted. Everything is appreciated. Not only are we going to be donating everything over these 3 nights with Late Nights with Santana, but my wife and I will be matching whatever you guys send. So we are going to do that as well. And if you can't donate anything and you want to send gifts, maybe you panel hop and you collect coins or whatever, you can send gifts, because any and everything that you gift during Late Nights with Santana will be donated as well. Or if you want to donate directly, there are links here. We have 3 different links where you can actually go ahead and donate directly yourself. And those links are also running in the poll. So please, please, please consider donating. Anything is accepted. Everything is appreciated. If you don't have anything to donate, no worries. We appreciate you being here, but be active participants. Tap the screen. Let's get the likes up to 200,000 likes. Let's get the shares up to 650 shares. Just be here and lock in and tap with us. Please, please, please. This is for an amazing cause, and we appreciate every single thing. With that being said, Dan, tell us about your utopia.
I would say at this point, I don't have my utopia completely fleshed out all the way. I would guess probably just need to listen more at this point.
Wait, so when you said capitalism was better than socialism, what you meant was that you just feel like it's better?
I would say the very first answer that I said was, I have not been given compelling evidence to think that it is better.
You haven't
looked at it. I've seen lots of, I've seen what, let's say, the G-sides or mass unalivings in the USSR and China. Like, I think Mao Zedong, I think he was pretty bad.
I guarantee you don't know anything about Mao Zedong. But listen, you haven't looked into
it. So that's why I would like to learn why it's better.
Because if you would have liked to learn, then you would have listened to Athena when she was talking about the history of imperialism in a country that caused G-sides and ethnic cleansing. You would have listened to me when I talked about the issues of capitalism. Like, you would be listening here instead of saying, I haven't seen any evidence of X, Y, or Z. You'd be looking up the things that we were telling you, rather than being like, my utopia is better, even though I don't know what the utopia entails. And when someone asks you about the utopia, you just tell them they haven't given you a chance to answer, when your answer is, I don't know. Like, that's crazy work to me.
Thank you for the heartbeat.
Okay. I would like to say a few words, if I may.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Cameron.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so when it comes down to conversations such as these, I just kind of keep going back to the notion that it really just depends on the reality you're born into, right? So bottom line up front for me is, I would say that I love the animals, but I hate the circus. So I would say that I love many that we have. Like, I love Americans for the most part. I mean, obviously they're stupid Americans too, but I would say there are a lot of great people here in the United States. I consider myself very fortunate to have been born and raised here in the US, because there really are a lot of just truly exceptional people here. However, I consider that, the main point is I'm very lucky, right? I'm very privileged in a lot of ways. So if I think about the reality that, say, my own mother was born into, so she was born and raised in Lebanon, grew up during the Civil War, and her perception of U.S. Marines would be vastly different from somebody from, say, Iraq, in the sense that, in my mom's case, she remembers the Marines putting them
No, what happened?
He's still there. Dan?
Yeah,
No, Iskander was talking.
Oh, snap. That was me. I'm sorry. That was me. I apologize.
Iskander was the one who was talking.
I apologize.
Oh,
that was me.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
no
I thought you got bananaed, bro.
Oh,
I
it's
was
all good.
like,
No,
what?
that was
honestly,
I
that's
was
happened.
like, yo, I was
that was
so
me.
mad.
Listen, I was
Like, you
touching
don't even know
stuff.
how
I was touching stuff. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
My
It's
bad.
happened to me before. It's happened to me
No, you're
before.
good. You're good. I really thought it was TikTok, and I thought they bananaed you, and I was
That
about
was
to be
me.
so mad.
Oh,
Like I
no.
was so upset.
That's part of the reason I put this picture up, because I swear I don't know what it is, but I've had Zionists mass report me, and this picture somehow helps protect the line. I don't know why. I don't. And we can go into who this guy is, by the way, because you probably never heard of him, because the U.S. government tried to bury him. And we'll go into more detail about that, because it goes directly to the conversation about communism and why that guy, a Medal of Honor recipient and 4-star general, got wiretapped and harassed by the FBI. So interesting. The U.S. loves troops until they criticize the empire, but we'll get back to that. What I was saying is, my mom's thing in Lebanon is U.S. Marines in Lebanon actually did not get along with the Israelis and were shot at, cussed out, and harassed by them. A lot of people don't actually know about this. I only know about it because my own family was there. However, and then the Israelis sold weapons to the IRGC, watched them blow up the barracks. Okay, horrible stuff. So my mom was able to make out of Lebanon, and she credits the troops for that. Now, that is vastly different. I've met Iraqis on this app who have a very different perception of U.S. Marines. They say, wait a minute, I remember the Haditha massacre. I remember when U.S. Marines were indiscriminately slaughtering, gunning down, and I don't want to go into more detail and actually get this live taken down. But if you don't know what the Haditha massacre was, I'd highly recommend looking it up. It was absolutely atrocious. And it was committed by U.S. Marines. Or James Mattis. People tend to kind of glaze him, say, oh, he stood up to Trump. And that's all they know about. They don't know about his history of, for example, ordering an artillery strike on a house full of women and children and blowing it up, being proven that he was wrong. He said, oh, I thought there was insurgents here. I thought, okay, it was totally debunked. And he still didn't apologize for it. Then he got promoted twice more after he did that. So, the point is that it's all about the reality you're born into. So think about, for example, let's see, because we were talking about China. I don't know if you know about the U.S.'s history in China. What the Eight Nation Alliance was, essentially humiliation, the Boxer Rebellion. It would take a long time to break down that history. But the point is that China historically was occupied by the West. The U.S. came in there to steal the opium, and there actually was at the time some oil in China that the U.S., the U.K., France, Italy, Japan, the usual suspects, that they came in there and stole. This was the reality the young Mao Zedong grew up in. So if you wonder why they hate the West so much, there's a reason for it. And so, yeah, we may not think it's a great governmental system, but at the same time, I didn't grow up under occupation. So, who am I to say, oh, how dare they do this or that? For them, communism is the answer. Or specific to this picture, General David Shoup. I don't know if you know about his opposition to the Vietnam War, but his argument was, and he quite literally went on record stating that, I could read off the quote if you want, but the gist is that he straight up said, hey, even if the revolution has to be of the violent type because the haves refuse to share with the have-nots by any peaceful method, then at least what they get will be their own, and it won't be the American style, which they don't want crammed down their throats by Americans. So, and he told kids to not join the military during Vietnam. This was a Medal of Honor recipient from World War II, who, again, was wiretapped and harassed by Lyndon B. Johnson for being an alleged communist sympathizer and traitor, despite the fact that this guy had a bullet graze his neck and had shrapnel go through his leg in 1943 in the Battle of Tara, which is one of the bloodiest engagements of all of World War II. But it didn't matter. All of that went out the window the second he started to condemn the military-industrial complex. He even co-authored a book called Militarism USA back in 1970, where he condemned the military-industrial complex. And so you probably have never heard of him. I didn't know about him until I joined the Marine Corps and learned about who he was. And it's amazing how men who fight in wars are glorified way more than the men who tried to stop them. And that is because I would argue that because the U.S. is an empire, those who expand the empire are going to be honored because they're helping to increase capital. Those who try to stop that capital expansion and say, hey, wait a second, this is horrible. Hey, using Agent Orange against Vietnamese women and children, that's bad. Hey, recruiting idiots and wife beaters into the military who go in there and slaughter women and children in Vietnam, hey, that's bad. Hey, I don't know, maybe bombing the piss out of civilian areas with B-52 bomber planes is a bad thing. And so adding insult to injury, Ho Chi Minh actually didn't hate the U.S. In fact, back when Harry Truman was in office, he wrote a letter to Harry Truman asking for his help against the French, and Harry Truman did the opposite. He gave aid to the French to include the B-52 bomber planes that the French then used to try to recolonize Vietnam. So, and you have to remember, when in World War II, the French were absolutely worthless. The only saving grace a colonizer has is to defend their damn colony. And the French couldn't even do that. They got the piss stomped out of them by Imperial Japan. Imperial Japan then pillaged and raped the Vietnamese countryside, starved out over 200,000 Vietnamese women and children. And then afterwards, the French still thought they were entitled to have a jurisdiction over Vietnam. So, I mean, the West was not the good guy there. If you wonder why Ho Chi Minh turned to communism, it's like, what choice did the guy have? So yeah, that's what I think that's the point I hope we can convey to you, Dan, because again, I was raised in the US as well. I was raised in the West. I love this country because I love the people that are in it, and for the most part, at least, I try to be optimistic. But at the same time, I also acknowledge that there are people as fortunate as I am who have really been on the receiving end of capitalism, who have been on the receiving end of US imperialism. And so, of course, they're going to hate capitalism. Of course, they're going to hate the West. They don't like why would they like the West? Like in the case of Vietnam, after what the West did to them.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know that was a long rant. I just wanted to make sure I kind of got those points
you're
across.
perfectly fine. Before someone, I don't know who dropped you. Before someone accidentally dropped you again, L's in the chat for whoever that was. So I'm glad that you got to make your point. Why is Twitter? I'm not Twitter. Twitch is over here frying me. Holy smokes. I fuck up sometimes, Twitch. Chill.
You did. Let me just say this real quick. Since you mentioned Twitch, you did such a good job building Twitch, bro. I'm literally talking about you. Stop it. Cut it out. I'm literally saying, like, no, dead ass. I looked at like your profile the other day, and I looked at like some of the stuff you got going on. Man, that shit is actually fire. You did so good, for real.
Okay. Guys, real quick, let me read this off. W's in the chat for Loretta sent a $20 donation saying, thanks to you and your mods and your friends who have taught me so much, and for the kindness in your heart for what you do. Loretta, thank you so much for that donation. Thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for being here and listening and just always engaging. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that. Guys, a couple of things. We're in a 30-minute countdown window, just an FYI. I know I don't have my counter, but just to let everybody know where we are. But guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all of my pay links are in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support. And when I say support, I'm not talking about the live. I'm talking about supporting the cause that we are bringing to you tonight, the cause that we brought to you last night, and the cause that we're going to bring to you again tomorrow night. We're talking about the different G-sides that are happening all around the world, and not only talking about what is happening, but talking about how we can help those people impacted. So if you can, please consider donating. Every single penny that you donate will be directly donated to help people affected by these different G-sides all around the world. So you can always donate by hitting my pay links. You can always donate as well by going directly and donating to one of these links, which we also have those running in the poll, or you can actually gift as well, because anything that you actually gift, the money that we make off of gifts here on the old Tiki Talks will be repurposed and donated as well. So please consider donating. And if you can't donate and you're here, one, thank you for being here, but two, tap the screen. Tap the screen. Guys, we're not even at 200,000 likes. Come on now, tap the screen, share the live out, do all the wonderful things. With that being said, let me read this one off too then. W's in the chat for Amber. Amber sent a $20 donation, said, in case TikTok goes away, thank you for everything that the people on this panel have taught me over the last 4 years. Changed my life. Listen, Amber, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that $20 donation. And you're absolutely right. I feel like that, the TikTok has taught me a lot. But the people that I've actually interacted with and gotten to know have taught me much more, and it really it's been amazing. So with that being said, I know Aaliyah has been up here super patient and hasn't said anything at all. And Aaliyah, I'm so sorry. I want to give you the floor.
It is totally fine. I just want to first say thank you for what you do for the Black community. I am a college student and I have basically been teaching people what you've put on your page in simple terms. I like simple terms for the more uneducated people in my college in particular. I'm in Indiana, so predominantly red, which is very unfortunate. But you can tell me if this is a topic that I can bring up or if it doesn't necessarily go with the conversation. But I want to talk about how Black and brown bodies in healthcare have been affected not only by capitalism, but by systemic racism, and what we can do to kind of advocate for that. But I don't know if that's necessarily the topic.
Athena.
Black and brown bodies in health. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Let's do it.
When I was thinking about, yeah, because initially when I was thinking about the topic of Black and brown bodies aren't equal, I was thinking about it more in the, and when it comes to exterminations or genocides on a global scale. But I think healthcare is also kind of a perfect topic as well.
But
we
and
can
you
discuss
know
that.
what's funny though, Athena? Like when you told me that, like my mind, not only did it go there though, but it started to go through like all around the world and like all the different instances that they aren't equal. And so I see how she made that connection, because when you gave me that topic, I thought about that, because you know there are like we've already talked about that, but that was such a powerful point because it's on so many levels.
Yeah, I mean, you have the fundamental lack or dehumanization of Black and brown bodies when it comes to the history of medical research, whether it is in the US, whether it is like Project Coast in South Africa as well, experimentations, lack of pain management. Yeah, definitely.
So,
you're right. So, yeah.
Aaliyah, go for it. The floor is yours.
Awesome. So I just wanted to bring a couple of points up in terms of history in America, which I'm pretty sure most people have heard of this, but if you have not, there's two that I want to bring up. There's a syphilis study from 1932 to 1972, which is crazy. That is not that long ago, where Black men were basically targeted to figure out syphilis and how it affects the body, but they weren't given the proper knowledge and informed consent on that. And then I wanted to bring up Henrietta Lacks, how she was basically taken advantage of while she was unconscious. So those are just two kind of historical looks of exploitation and abuse. And then in more current like in current times, because I'm a nursing student, just to preface, so I've learned about a lot of these cases, and being Black myself, it perked my ears up. But they teach us a lot how maternal mortality rates in Black women are 3 times more likely. Black women are to die from pregnancy related complications, as well as the infants are also dying in comparison to white infants, which is insane. And I also went to the ER recently myself, like a month ago. I had an ear infection, but I had to go in twice, first to get my pain managed, and then second to even get diagnosed. And Indiana, of course, is not a good representation of, what the healthcare system should be, but there is that. And then what we can do and what patients can do for the people who are in the healthcare community who may be on this live, what we can do and what I've started to do even as a nursing student. First of all, check your privilege just in terms of where you're at now. If you're white, straight, you know what I'm saying, a man in general, just check that. And then with your privilege, make sure you can educate yourself and learn the history of these things and the roots of Black and brown bodies being discriminated against. There's a lot of reforms that we can work on: criminal justice reform, for police violence, healthcare equity, housing laws. Those are things that all can make patients come into the hospital for. And then I think that advocating for patients' rights, if you see something, say something. Doing clinicals in my hospitals around the community, I've seen a lot of discrimination just in general as a student myself. So if they can show that in front of students, nursing students, then what are they doing behind the scenes? So I think just understanding that there's things that you can do to speak up, even if you're just a student or if you're in the healthcare field yourself. Yes, I had a couple other points, but I'm forgetting. So I think that's kind of the basis of what I wanted to say. So
No, listen. So I will say this. One reason why I really like talking about medical racism is because I was someone that was affected by medical racism and I didn't know so, right? In 2010, I had a surgery, which the surgery was planned out. Everything was, mapped out prior to the actual surgery. I was in South Carolina, and this old white Southern doctor did my surgery. Really liked the guy. Didn't think much of it, right? And so when I got ready to go in for the surgery, it was supposed to be laparoscopic. For anyone who doesn't know, that means just like tiny, small incisions for the surgery. And so I went under, they put me under, and I, went into the surgery expecting that procedure to go as planned. And I woke up and I had a scar going from the top of my chest all the way down to my navel, a scar all the way down my torso. And the doctor came back and told me that the reason why they had to completely cut me open instead of doing the surgery laparoscopic, like I was told, is because my skin was quote unquote too thick, right? Which is something that is a medical myth and something that was said and done to Black people to, going back to a couple of different things as far as Black people don't feel pain the same way and they have thick skin and all these other things. So medical racism is absolutely real. And the doctor told me that, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess, I'm a superhero. And come to find out, no, that's not true. And it's funny because he started the actual incisions. So he did the incisions for the laparoscopic cuts while also completely opening me up. So yeah. Anywho, thank you for that, Aaliyah.
of course, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you went through that, Santana.
I also want to say
C'est la
sorry.
vie.
That's insane.
Listen. You guys don't have to say sorry to me. I get over. My wife will tell you I get over things like really fast. So it's for me now. It's just a cool story, right? It's just something for me to tell and share. Like it's whatever. Like it's not anything that I hold on to, but it's something interesting that I like to point back to when we talk about it. So, anywho, Athena, you said you had something that you wanted to throw to Dan.
Wait, hold on. I think you missed.
Did
No, I think I said somebody in the request had a question for Dan.
Oh, okay. Hey,
I think-
Alex, I'm gonna swap you out. Is that okay? All right, thank you so much. Hey, we're doing this again tomorrow. We still have one more day, and Alex, if you're free, I would love if you come back because you've added so much to the panel, like a shit ton. Thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. There we go.
Hey, evening, y'all. How's it going?
Hola. So you had a
Athena?
question for Dan, right? I saw you sending.
Yeah, I guess
Dan didn't answer your question in the chat.
Oh yeah, I was hoping you would, but I don't know. I think I was distracted or something. I was just wondering if
it's just tough to both listen and type everything out in chat. So I was trying to do both.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, no, you're good. I was just wondering what particular mechanism is available to capitalism that overrides its oligarchic tendencies in the long term.
There might not be one. At least not one that's been fully proven out. I mean, at least right now, like my reasoning for wanting it is that over time, like we've lasted a really long time country-wise, and I haven't seen an example of a better quote-unquote country doing it. It might be impossible to get something where it's like the actual perfect guardrails, right? But I haven't seen anything that shows that like communism is better than what we have. But I'm here to learn.
Do you think it's possible to take mechanisms tested in smaller models and try scaling them?
1000%, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think even for like the people that are like weird, like sock dem pragmatic socialist type or whatever, I think at least even they can get like, hey, we've seen elements of workplace democracy or other quasi-socialist or quasi-communist models that seem to produce certain good things and don't have a lot of the negative externalities of, typical private firms. So like, what would you think about something like that? About like, there's been like a Spanish cooperatives that have been relatively successful. Like, why are you opposed to the stories there of their success being implemented here in the US or something like that?
I'm so sorry. I did the thing where I was looking at chat. I saw a lot of mentions.
Oh no, you're good.
I fully pay attention. My fault.
I was just asking, like Mondragon, the Spanish cooperative that saw some success, or other examples of worker cooperatives or anything like that. These aren't necessarily like fully communist or anything like that, but they at least try and get at and access some of the fundamental mechanisms that make communism appealing. Like why would you be opposed to implementing some of those?
I would say I'm not aware of any compelling reason to think that communism is going to be good at large scales. If there is one, I would love to learn in here. But
okay, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the propagandistic mindset a little bit.
A little bit?
Like, yeah, well, a lot of it. Yeah. This is where, like, whenever you're introduced to ideas or models or possible mechanisms, economic mechanisms, whatever, that like push towards communism or at least demonstrate their efficacy and they are inherently communistic or socialistic or whatever, it seems like you always run to, well, what does history say on these large scale historical instances like Soviet Union or whatever, and it just seems to be incredibly bad faith and ignoring all the nuance of approaching this issue. It's pretty frustrating.
I'd like to know why it's good.
Oh my God!
Like, I'm here. Clearly, I don't understand the value proposition of communism. I would love to learn
because you're not listening. Like you haven't listened to anything that anyone up here has like really said about socialism or communism. You're just saying like you haven't seen any evidence, and you're not going to because you don't read, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Like I'm here to listen from people who have a different educated perspective than me. I'm trying to listen.
But you're not educated. That's the problem. So like, you're not trying to listen. Like I told you about imperialism's effect on Black and brown people in Africa, and you didn't listen. Like other people have told you, including Athena and Iskander, have told you the effects of capitalism on these places versus the effects of socialism on these places. And you're just saying, yeah, but I don't see anything. And it's just like, yeah, it's because you don't read, bro. I don't know what else to tell you. Like you're not here to listen, because if you were here to listen, then you would have been listening to the issues of imperialism and capitalism versus the non-issues that socialism bring forth, like national liberation movements. This isn't hard. Like this is like day one stuff too. It's not like we're throwing at you like huge fucking terms and terminologies. Like I didn't throw at you equations of the relative property ownership of the proletariat versus that of the capitalists. Like this isn't something that this isn't like a college course, bro. Like this is just like, hey, imperialism happens because of capitalism and it hurts Black and brown people. And you're like, yeah, but I don't see any problem with it. It's crazy work. Like it's insane work.
Apologies, I'm not seeing the connection. Like, I don't think I'm much.
Yeah,
I would like to listen.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I really appreciate all the, like, I appreciate the conversation,
Mhm.
like the time on the panel, but I legitimately don't know how to have the conversation, so that's why I would rather just listen.
I get it. I get it. Hold on one second, Naquan.
Wait, can I ask Dan a question?
Yeah. Go ahead, Athena. Hey, thank you for the coral. Athena, is that your MAGA mobile showing his head? No, not Athena with the red bars.
Santana.
Whatever.
Stop coming for my neck. That's crazy. Listen.
Average
anyway.
EU Wi-Fi. Sorry.
Hate crime. That's crazy. No, but Dan, okay. As a Black woman who is in the West, but originally my ancestors are from the global South, can you convince me why capitalism would be good for me?
I don't believe I can.
Why can't you?
Awkward.
If it's such a better economic system, why can't you convince me that capitalism is good for me?
Because I think you believe communism is better for you, and I don't.
No, that's not what I asked. I said that's not what I asked. Ignore what I think.
I don't think I can convince you that capitalism is better.
We're asking you why you think capitalism would be better for Athena. Santana, would you say that today? You said, boom, 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 boom.
It's taken every. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it. Normally I don't do it because we're late nights with Santana, but I've been fighting every ounce of my instinct to do this. But Dan, take your time.
No, Dan, genuinely, I'm saying from your perspective, why would capitalism convince me that it's good for me, that it's a better economic system for a person like me?
I believe that communism would lead to worse outcomes for everyone in America.
That's not what I asked. I said specifically, can you convince me that capitalism is good for me?
And I said, I can't convince you because we have different philosophical viewpoints on this. I don't know.
No, I'm saying in your opinion, through your perspective,
Hey, okay, so maybe
capitalism is,
there you go. Go ahead. You got it.
I believe communism will be worse.
No, not communism, capitalism.
I think capitalism is better.
Okay,
for everyone in America.
The question.
Okay, so
why do you
why
think it would be better for
exactly
for
for me
cool.
as a black woman who is who has ancestors from the global South? How is capitalism and why is it better for me? For a person like me?
Because I think you will have better economic outcomes than you would under communism.
Why? The question is why?
Because I believe communism and communist countries have never been competitive in terms of global economic scale.
That's laughable. But that doesn't tell us why you think it's better for Athena.
I think Athena would have lesser quality of life under communism than she does today under capitalism.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because it's better to have a slice of a watermelon than it is to have all of a grape. I have never seen a communist country be really, really, really great in terms of quality of life for its citizens. I would love to know an example or why I'm wrong. That's why I'm trying to listen.
Hold on, Dan.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You said what was that analogy again?
Oh, holy shit. Okay. Jesus. It's literally I will get a quote of this. Swear to God, the watermelon thing was not a dog whistle. It's better to have all of a grape than to have a slice of a watermelon, is the saying. Because it's better to have a small portion of a big thing than 100% of a small thing.
And Naquan, have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, no. But he didn't say it that way neither in the beginning. He said it's better to have a slice of a watermelon or a grape.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Dan, I'm gonna need you to explain that. Like in detail. I need you to explain that. Because that was crazy.
Also, I mean, I think it was diabolical work. But I also don't want to get distracted away from Athena's second genius question on this panel. Because the first one wasn't answered. And this one is just, it's so easy. Like someone is up here saying, this thing is better for you. And then when the person asks, how is it better for me? Like the answer is not coming. I don't.
Because I think. Would be a worse overall.
Man, I'm sorry, but I don't
humbly
care.
request this because that looks like a crazy dog whistle. Can I please get the screen to show you that this is an actual saying?
Yeah, Dan, I don't care where you got the quote from. I need you to explain in detail what you meant by it. I don't care where you got the quote from.
Grandmaster RNG over on Twitch said just a bad analogy. Yeah, I know he wasn't being racist, just a bad analogy. I get it, but holy shit, it was a bad analogy at the wrong time.
Yeah, that is awful fucking timing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was really bad.
That's on me for being not aware at all. That's the first time I've ever even thought of that. I've said that analogy on TikTok hundreds of times. Not only has it never occurred to me, it's
How
never
often have
even
you said it in black spaces?
I've never said it in a black space before.
Okay.
That should tell you something.
Don't say
that
it
it wouldn't fit.
Yes,
just don't do it
Wait,
again.
no,
okay,
Dan.
I
Hold on,
learned
because
a
you
huge
knew
thing
that.
there. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Dan. You acknowledge that you never said it in a black space, which means you knew it wouldn't fit in a black space.
No, I've never had a conversation on communism.
Hold on 1 second.
Let's just focus on Athena's question.
Let's get back to Athena's question.
To be clear,
you're good, Dan. I don't think it was intentional. I just
stop talking about it.
Yeah, let's just get back to Athena's question. You're good. Just don't say that in black spaces anymore. You're good. Do you remember Athena's question?
I do.
Okay.
The reason why I brought up that very, very unfortunate saying is it's better to have. It sucks to feel like it's not fair, and this is going to be a hot take. It's going to be tough to swallow. Under capitalism, I think that black people are better off being not as well off as white people compared to everyone being really, really, really shittily off because of communism, even if it's even. That sounds like the worst self-serving answer in the world.
Yes, because it is.
That is how I feel because I don't think
because you're white.
Because you're white.
It's one of the two. It's
because you're white.
So wait,
you're white. Capitalism.
Either that reason, or it's because communism.
Wait. Hold on. Listen. Because I want just stop explaining. Stop explaining.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say this, and then you're gonna answer yes or no, and then Athena's gonna go and have at it. I'm just asking you.
Also, just the time check, guys. We got it's t-shirt time. So holy shit. Go ahead, Sean.
Listen,
I think everyone would be more off.
You think the black people had it better under
under Harry S. Truman than they did under Joseph Stalin?
Oh.
So yes or no?
Well, no, still, like, probably
No,
not.
so then you don't think that it is. So then you don't think that it is more advantageous for Black people to live under capitalism than under socialism?
No, because it's a different era and it's a different country. I think
No,
Russia,
the United States under Harry S. Truman is the United States.
Yes.
The USSR
Yes,
was a
right.
socialist experiment. That was the USSR.
And it's under Stalin.
So do you think that? So you think Black people would have been better under Harry S. Truman than under Stalin?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't
It's
know
also
that.
not the question. The question was, do I think
The
capitalism?
question
is better
you
than
said you think a Black
communism?
person would fare better under capitalism than they would under socialism. So I'm
Yes,
asking
in the United States. In the United States, yes.
Okay, excellent. So do you think Black people fared better under Harry S. Truman than they did under Joseph Stalin?
I don't think the United States and the USSR are the same thing.
Do you think that
I've
Black
said I
people
don't know.
fared better under the capitalist United States under Harry S. Truman
I would guess
than
so,
they did
yes,
under the socialist? So you think that Black people fared better under Jim Crow than they did in a country that made it illegal to be racist?
No, I think than they would under the exact same time, place, and period. I think it's a worse.
Oh, just admit it. Just admit it.
You
You're
think that
okay with Black
there's
people.
less-
You're okay with Black people suffering as long as the world benefits
Literally
off of it.
not.
Just admit it. You literally
I want
listen.
less
Civil
suffering.
society. Okay, I can't.
less
I can't
suffering for
listen to
Black
this
people.
anymore.
I'm literally telling you, I think
Dan,
there's more
Dan,
suffering.
Dan. Respectfully, you tried to tell me the global South is much better under capitalism than it is under communism because it benefits the world. Like respectfully, Dan, you are perfectly fine. Like you admitted it you literally said it sounds off because it is off, right? You are perfectly fine with Black people largely suffering for the greater good, in your
No.
opinion.
No, I'm not. I'm not okay with that. I believe that Black people would suffer more under communism than they
Did Black
under
people
capitalism.
suffer more? Wait, so did Black people
That is
suffer more
my-
under Joseph Stalin than they did under Harry S. Truman?
In the United States, I believe Black people would suffer more under communism.
Do
than
you
they would
think
under
that Black
capitalism.
people suffered more under
Adventures in
Harry?
times.
Do you
I
think
don't know.
Black
I
people?
don't think
the
you
United
have.
States is different. The United States is different than the USSR.
Do you think
Mhm.
that China has as much police brutality on Black people as the United States today? Yeah, that's what I thought. This is crazy work.
China is not the same country as the United States.
This is absolutely
The question
insane.
Does he think
there would be more police brutality under a communist United States than under a capitalist United States?
does he
Do you
think
that?
sorry
Go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
does he think Black people suffered more under Thomas Sankara than they did under a colonialist capitalist system? Dan, do you think that Black people in Burkina Faso suffered more under the socialist rule of Thomas Sankara than they did under a colonialist capitalist system?
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That's what I thought.
Exactly.
The thing-
Okay, let me help you there. Let me help you there, Dan. Let me help you there, Dan. They didn't. Because capitalism, this is why I'm telling you, right? You don't understand that capitalism for you is a better option because it benefits you. When it comes to Black and brown bodies, though, capitalism doesn't benefit Black and brown bodies because it's rooted in our subjugation and dehumanization. Thomas Sankara was a socialist. He heavily implemented socialism within Burkina Faso. If you don't even know who that man is, then clearly you have absolutely no idea what you are talking about. You feel like capitalism is better for you, is better for the world because it's better for you. Like that's just like that's a fact.
I don't think it would be better for anyone in the United States, but it appears that you do. So I would like to listen as to why it would be better for the United States to be communist than it would be for us to be capitalist. I don't know why. I would love to listen.
Athena, look, I just want to say you're a genius. The questions were mwah, absolutely 10 out of 10. It's just W Athena in the chat. That shit was just so great.
Yeah. Let me read these off. W's in the chat for Justin, who sent a $5 donation and says, y'all put in so much effort towards Dan, and I could never. Thank you for the hanging lights. I could never have the patience. I appreciate you. We appreciate you, Justin. Thank you. And then Justin followed up with another $5 donation to say, good God, Dan, it's just getting worse and worse. I'm sorry. W's in the chat for Justin for the $5 donation, guys. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all of my pay links are in the bio. Santana Speaks 24. Santana Speaks 24 is the best way to support, and I'm not saying support the live. Support the main reason for us being here this evening, which is bringing education towards the mass G-sides that are happening all around the world and what we can do to actually help support those actual areas. We are not only educating people and actually explaining what's happening all around the world, but we are taking up donations to actually help those people affected by said G-sides. Sorry. I'm sorry. Something just caught me off guard. Sorry. So guys, if you can, please consider donating. Anything is accepted, everything is appreciated. And not only that, with any and every donation, we are going to actually donate every single cent that you guys donate, but my wife and I will be matching whatever is collected over the next or over this 3-day period. So if you can donate, please consider donating. And also, we're going to take any of the money that you guys that we earn from any gifts and actually donate that as well. So it would be super awesome if we could knock out this daily gift goal. We only have 7 more of the Let 'em Cooks. And then also, if there's any other gifts that you guys want to send, please consider sending those gifts, because again, anything that is made off of these lives, off of gifts, will be taken and donated as well. Last but not least, if you want to donate directly, you can do so. There are these links that are here that you can go to and you can actually donate directly, but we also have the links running in the poll. You can actually go grab the links out of the poll and donate directly there as well. Or if you don't have any money, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for actually, educating yourself. But tap the screen, tap the screen. We should have been way over 200,000 likes, but we're not there. Tap the screen, share the live out, do all the wonderful things. So this is what I want to do. Critically, you said you had one more quick question for Dan. I want to give you that opportunity. Naquan, I want to give you a quick opportunity to speak, and then we have to, it's t-shirt time.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to check in with Dan, because I feel like people often talk about the failure of past communist projects without really understanding how those projects failed in the first place. When you're looking at Mao Zedong's China or the Soviet Union or other like significant communist projects, why do you think they failed?
I'm not absolutely certain.
Okay. Well, I think it's important to look into that, because I think a lot of people want to not investigate that and just broad brush paint communist projects as inherently like there's some original sin to a communist project that makes it fail. From the external side, there's obvious failure issues where there was a lot of aggressive competition between the US and the USSR. Where there was a lot of geopolitical strategy, Cold War, investing in rebel groups, assassinating other individuals, like the person that was brought up by Covey, Thomas Sankara, assassinated by the French. There's a lot of other external issues, and if you want to look at internal issues, the internal issues are not endemic to communism. They just really aren't, or any socialism. One of the examples that's brought up is in Mao Zedong's China, where there was an issue of a contribution to the famine because Mao Zedong ordered the melting down of farming products in order to ensure that China was competitive globally in steel manufacturing. That was a pretty dumb mistake, pretty big mistake. It caused a lot of problems, but that's not an issue with socialism or democratic representation or anything like that. That's an issue with with actually a lack thereof of too much authoritarianism and far too few feelers on the ground in order to test for conditions that the people in your communities need. That's what the conversation around communism should be to me, and the failure of past communist projects. And it's pretty frustrating when people say communism doesn't work, but has really no idea as to why past communist projects haven't worked, because all that can be investigated, all that can be understood. It just feels like, I don't know, everyone in the West, liberals and conservatives and stuff like that, love dismissing that stuff.
Can I also say one thing, please? Very important, very brief. Because Dan, you kept asking a question.
Wait, hold on. You're the special guest. You don't have to ask permission to speak. Come on now, this is your show.
I appreciate you, Santana. So Dan, you asked if communism would be better for Black Americans in America than capitalism, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the 1930s, when 9 Black teenagers were falsely accused of raping 2 white women, the Scottsboro Boys. It was the American Communist Party that actively defended those Black American teens from racist violence and systemic discrimination. And it was their legal and organizing efforts that actively brought international attention to the case that led to an appeal. Right? In the 1930s, when capitalism was actively supporting Jim Crow laws, it was communism that actually benefited Black Americans. When we look at the American Communist Party as well, it actively advocated for higher wages, better working conditions, and empowered Black workers to challenge systemic exploitation, when capitalism was actively telling Black people that American society was rooted in the dehumanization of Black people. It was prominent figures such as Claudia Jones or Angela Davis, who were communists, who used their platforms to amplify Black American struggles when capitalism was actively subjecting Black and brown bodies to systemic violence, right? So even on American soil, whether it is through the Black Panther Party food programs where they were feeding poor kids in underfunded and overexploited communities, whether it is through all of these different things that I just mentioned, excuse me? Yeah, so communism has benefited African Americans on American soil, whereas capitalism literally just gave them slavery and Jim Crow and prison industrial complex.
Naquan, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, also the Black Panthers.
What up, B? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Panthers started their own ambulance service. They also taught other Black men how to do electricity, plumbing, carpentry, and a host of other things. But I originally came in on you talking about the racism in the hospital. You had something similar happen to me. So I was in a motorcycle motorcycle accident in 2023. Kept complaining to this white nurse, I'm having chest pain. My chest feels super tight. Oh, you're just overreacting. Go to sleep. 4 hours. 4 hours. For 4 hours, my chest was filling up with blood. And they just kept telling me, you're overreacting. You're overreacting. Go to sleep. Take this pain med. You know what it took for them to come and actually pay attention? For my family to come up to the hospital and make a scene in there. So we don't look the same to these people when we go in these hospitals and stuff, and it's crazy. They tell Black people that, oh, you can tolerate pain more. oh, you're being a baby, you're crying, you're just looking for attention. For 4 hours, and it's a doctor and a nurse. Your job is to save people's life, and you're telling me I'm being a baby and I'm overreacting? If my family would have never came in there, I probably would not be here today. So this capitalism that's in America, it need to go because it don't work for everybody. I'd rather have all the grapes than a half a watermelon, as you want to say it.
Not the watermelon, Naquan.
Yo, I forgot all about that until you just said it. It's crazy.
Give me all the grapes. I want all of the grapes.
That
Can I just say someone on Twitch said the analogy that you can use or you should have used, or maybe you want to steal this in the future, is you rather have a slice of pizza than one whole pizza roll. That was the analogy that came from Twitch. So
I like that one. That's good.
All right, guys. It's honestly t-shirt time. Listen, I'm gonna read this last one off real quick. W's in the chat from Michael. Michael sent a $2 donation, and I mean, Dan, if you want to try to answer this quickly, you can definitely try. But it says, can you ask Dan to name a communist country that hasn't failed as a direct result of sanctions, embargoes, or wars from the U.S. Also, much love, Michael. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. Guys, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links in the bio. Anything and everything that you donate will be donated to help support people affected by G-sides all around the world. Please consider donating. And also, while we're winding down, just want to call this out. Anything that you guys gift, I will be taking that money and actually donating the money as well from the gifts. We're doing like one big gift at the end of the live. If anyone wants to actually knock that out, that would be super amazing. The big gift for the night is a media shower. So any and everything that you guys gift will go towards donating as well while we're live. Dan, do you want to try to take that question?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's a fantastic question because I don't know of any that haven't. My question would be were the sanctions due to things like, say, human rights violations, or were they corrupt sanctions done in furtherance of capitalism? I figure it's one of the two, but I've never thought of that question before, and I'm going to research the crap out of it.
Why doesn't if communism is such like a failure of the system, why doesn't America just like let communist countries run their course and just let them fail? And then you could say, see, we told you these systems don't work, they fail. But consistently, the West has consistently intervened within these types of countries as they're being established or formed because they know that they would function. But I don't know, maybe America should just like let these countries like run their course and then use them as an example if they just fail. I wonder why they don't.
I also think it's very strange that people are concerned with quote unquote human rights violations that they don't know are happening for socialist experiments, but not for capitalist experiments. Crazy.
Dan, I just want to say, I just want to call out how petty my wife is. She say in the chat, take a shot every time he say, I don't know.
That is not to be considered medical advice.
I'm sorry, that is that East African pettiness. That is that East African pettiness. I can't.
Nobody knows everything. I'm an idiot. I know that. I'm just trying to match the level of my conviction of opinion with my knowledge on something.
Nah, bro.
Dan, I'm curious.
That's what I try to do. And clearly, I'm ill-informed on this stuff.
Dan, what do you think the goal of the State Department is?
Pardon me?
What do you think the goal of the State Department is?
There's going to be a difference between the personal motivations of the people who are in there and the stated mission of the State Department.
I should say the institutional.
I don't know, but
right, the institutional goals. From the background, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand that, like, the State Department and the U.S. military have a very close relationship, where the State Department, the number one goal of the State Department is to ensure that as many countries as possible around the globe have strong trade relations, where we're getting as good of a deal as possible with that country. That's essentially the goal, and the military ensures that happens as much as possible by using its power to stop protectionism and other policies by other countries that would resist that. It's not only their kind of stated goal, it's their absolute de facto goal. And I feel like people miss that that's how we're so successful as a nation. It's because of the fact that we're investing $1 trillion every single year into that military industrial complex, and what it does to support/suppress other nations around the world.
Okay.
Like it's all economic. It's all economic.
I totally agree. I agree that it's all economics, but the reasons behind it's one of two things. But I'm writing down what you said there.
Dan, I'll say this. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate, like, the intentions as far as what you came up for, and even more so once you felt uncomfortable, how you actually ended up staying in here. So thank you for that. I hope you didn't necessarily feel attacked or anything, but I think there was a lot of good information, a lot of really good discourse that was shared. I appreciate you and your opinion, and even more so being willing to further this conversation, which I'm sorry, you were a tool in the sense of you're an instrument that was used to actually really push out the overall message of what we were trying to actually to convey with this background. So thank you for at least engaging and not crashing out and things like that. So thank you for doing that and actually being receptive to information.
Of course. Thank you for coming full circle on it. Like, I appreciate the time and you guys talking with me on it, honestly.
Absolutely. Dan, I'm gonna drop you down.
I have a lot to look into.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying I've got a lot to look into.
Yeah. Well,
and I will be listening from the audience.
Open mind is the only thing that anyone can ever ask. So thank you for that.
Of course. And thank you, everybody.
Critically, thank you for coming up, and I'm sorry I dropped you down before you got your last question off, but I really appreciate you coming back up. Also, thank you for the heart hands.
Oh yeah, no worries. Busy panel. I get it.
Absolutely. Hey, we're doing this again. We got one more night of this topic, so I mean, if you're free tomorrow, come through.
Oh yeah, I actually might be able to. I don't think I got anything too crazy, but yeah, I'll definitely hop on, especially if it feels a little bit not too busy on the panel or something. Thanks, man.
Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna drop you down. Naquan.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed most of it tonight, bro.
It's all good. You know how we do.
Because this conversation is needed.
Yeah.
It's needed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming through and actually not only sharing your thought process and sharing your story, but clocking it like you do. So I appreciate
that was crazy.
Yo.
Ain't never heard that before. I might have to use that in a black space and see if they boot me out.
Yeah, you FAFO, Naquan. FAFO.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna drop you down.
You know I love you, bro.
I love you more. Sean, I saw you say something in the chat, and I wanted to give you a moment to say it out loud. Can you please say what you said in the chat?
Discord in the bio. I joined my Discord. The link is in my bio. You talking about that? The plug?
Yep.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Make sure
I did want to say. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll say it.
I was just about to say, make sure you join Sean's Discord. I just got an invite today, so I'm in there. Apparently, that's where all the cool kids are. Right, I'm in Sean's Discord. I'm in Athena's Discord. I'm in my Discord. I don't even really like Discord, but it's some cool Discords that I'm a part of now. So make sure you're getting in the Discord.
Absolutely. I'm creating a subspace in my Discord where we're gonna do some things, like some behind the scenes analytical things. I tend to I wanted my YouTube. I have to rethink my YouTube content. I wanted my YouTube content to be reviewing media from a leftist perspective, like as a Black leftist perspective. But apparently YouTube is being really, really weird with their DMCA stuff, like just downright unfair. So I might have to like rethink that. But whilst I rethink that, I'll be watching like movies in my Discord and like certain hangout spots. And in the sub-only spaces be doing like behind the scenes stuff to figure out like what I'm gonna do for YouTube.
Awesome, Sean. Thank you so much for coming through and shaking the room as you
To
always
plug
do.
you though, like dead ass though, when I said what I said earlier, you have been doing a fucking fantastic job with Twitch.
Okay. Listen,
I'm
listen.
dead
The
serious.
chat sat here and watched me struggle with actually setting up the panel lineup earlier for like 15, 20 minutes. You can't gaslight my chat. They know what I'm about.
It's not that. It's not that. Listen. You've been on Twitch. How long you been on Twitch?
A couple of weeks, right?
A couple weeks?
Yeah.
You got more followers than me on Twitch.
No.
I'm dead serious.
Well,
Like I'm so dead serious. You've been doing such a good job with
that
Twitch.
feels
I'm
like misandry.
dead ass proud of you. It's Andrew. But no, I'm dead serious. You've been doing really good. I'm being so dead serious. Like your podcasts, your late nights, like even when you do sparring, like I think you're doing a really good job with Twitch.
Yeah,
I do gotta teach you how to we gotta talk so I can teach you how to do the intro.
Yeah. Well, and when you text me, I was like, yeah, I be forgetting to do stuff sometimes, like the way you set it up. But I'm gonna start doing it the way that you said. So it makes too much sense. Also, Hawk said that he just tried to join and your link isn't working.
In my bio?
Yep, that's what Hawk said.
Hold on.
Hold on. Hawk, I'm gonna send it to you directly. I got you.
Hawk is in there now.
Hawk, you're in there. You're good.
Before I could even check the link, Hawk popped in.
Okay. Sean, anything else?
I do want to say, like, if you're going to like this is about Dan. I know he's not up here, but I just wanted to say he's so very lucky it's not like my panel.
Or
like,
sparring.
Or sparring. Because I was like, when you interrupt a person of color to say, I think the thing that you're talking about, especially when a person of color is talking about like liberation and then like moving towards like a liberation movement for people who have been oppressed, and to interrupt that person and say, I think the liberation movement that you're basing this on is trash. And we go, okay, why do you think it's trash? Hey, don't attack me. Are you serious?
But and that was the point that I was trying to get across. Like, there's nothing wrong with having, that thought process. But like, if you're gonna say it with your whole chest, make sure that you have your substance behind it and you got your ducks in a row, right? And that was my only point. Like, again, I'm not a communist. But like if I'm not just gonna say something sucks and I don't know why it sucks, but it sucks. So I don't know. That's just me.
No, I hear that. But it's like, it's in particular interrupting the person of color. And then when other people of color talk to you, especially Black people, and you're saying that we are being hostile towards you and you just want a conversation and we're chilling. Like we were up here chilling.
You really were.
Crazy. Yep. Right. I didn't say anything crazy. Athena didn't say anything crazy.
I heard Athena starting to raise her voice. I thought Athena was about to say, fuck all this shit.
No, sorry. I did get irritated at one point. I was already irritated when I tried to explain to him how American imperialism and capitalism negatively impacted Eritrea, and this guy was like, "Oh, that's irrelevant." I was like, "What?" that was way too much for me, anyways. So, no, I tried to keep my cool though.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean, thank you so much for coming up. Are you gonna be back tomorrow, or are you gonna be busy like you?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.
All right,
definitely be back tomorrow. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you more. We'll see you tomorrow. I love you.
Love you.
Love you, Sean.
Athena. The floor is yours.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know what else to say. I think that when people do talk about these concepts, maybe they might be abstract to you if you're very far removed. Therefore, it might be easier for you to just make like, I don't know, for you to kind of weaponize your ignorance or incompetence and not bother informing yourself. But I think people need to understand how much death, dehumanization, and exploitation these systems have caused. And they're not very abstract for everybody. So they're not abstract to Black and brown bodies. They're not abstract when it comes to the global South as well. And so I think people need to understand that this is a matter of urgency. And it's not just something that you can just debate, bro. So yeah, that's all I'll say. Thank you very much, Santana, for this amazing live. And I'll see you tomorrow
Do it
for the
again
last
tomorrow.
episode.
Hey,
Exactly.
do you want to know? You want to know how much we clocked tonight in donations, or you want to wait until tomorrow?
I think I'd like to know.
Okay.
I think I'd like to know.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now this is just donations. Only donations for the night. This does not include the gifts yet. I can't see the gifts until we end the live, and so I'll have that tomorrow. No, I'm not joining Red Note. Absolutely not joining Red Note. But if you know, you know. All right. But just donations for tonight. Last night we made $375 in just donations.
Wow.
Tonight we did it better. $410 in just donations. W's in the chat for the chat. You guys are freaking awesome.
You're kidding.
Freaking awesome. Now that's just donations. That does not include whatever we're going to be able to make from the gifts as well. So there's guys, if you want to send a last minute gift, go ahead and go off. Again, still waiting on the media shower. But with that being said, so $375 just off donations last night. $410 just off donations tonight. Tomorrow, we got to do more. We got to do more. We got to go bigger. We have to close out tomorrow with a bang. So tomorrow, no, I'm sorry, we don't do Zelle. Sorry. It's Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I think you might want to try one of these links to donate directly if you want to use that, but we don't do Zelle. But tomorrow, we have to do more. We have to go bigger. We have to go out with a bang. So guys, not only be here tomorrow, but also make sure people know, share it out to everybody that you know. Let them know tomorrow, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. We're going to do this again, and it's the last night. So if you want an opportunity to join the panel, please make sure that you're here to do so. If you have an opportunity to actually donate, please make sure that you do that. Tomorrow, we're going to do it really big. It's going to be the last shebang. Let's make sure that we show up and show out. With that being said, Athena, it's been a pleasure. As always, you are always amazing. I have really enjoyed tonight. I sent you something, and like I said, I didn't expect that left turn. I didn't expect us to make a left turn at Albuquerque, but we did. And but it was still a good night. It's a really good night.
Yeah, I think it was a good night as well. I especially enjoyed Hannah's pettiness because I love it's that East African pettiness. Trust me.
You should have.
You cannot be East African and not petty. Trust me. Exactly. Trust me. But yeah, I appreciate you, Santana. I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Have a good night, guys. Thank you for all the likes, the shares, the taps, the loves. Guys, we're going to raid Pickles. Let's go raid Pickles. We are going to raid Pickles. I think it's just it's Pickles. Pickles with 2 G's. So PICKLESGGS. We're going to go raid Pickles. PICKESGGS. Pickles with 2 G's. God dang it. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. I love you guys. Thank you for all the tap shares, the likes. You guys are always amazing. And as always,